I like that right there. Hey everyone, this is Anthony with Bangin Beers podcast, and we have a full house today. We are with the returning Faith in Exile. Welcome, guys. Thank you guys for coming in. We have a lot of beers on the table. Some of them have like some metal themes, and some of them don't. But we'll have some fun. So you guys are coming back after how many years?
About 3.5, I think, was our last show.
And what was the reason that you guys stopped doing the music scene?
Life.
Yeah. Everybody just got super busy, and it was just very overwhelming. And to even get together for practices got super tough. So it was just kind of, hey guys, let's kind of take a break, and then go from there.
Yeah.
Now
Paul, our other guitarist, lives in Northampton.
Okay.
So it's a good hour drive from me. And he had just had a kid, and just his job just really he couldn't do anything. So that was a big reason.
You guys were at one point in time, the major players in the area obviously were Cyanide, Crowbot, and you guys. Like that, you guys like dominated the scene. And then unfortunately, with Cyanide, it had the passing of Jaybird. Crowbot went and did their thing, and then you guys took your break, and there was kind of a gap in there for local music, especially with original bands and even the heavy metal scene. Now the younger guys are coming up really good. The music scene's coming back stronger than ever. And then, you guys are coming back with it, which is awesome. It's really cool stuff. What was the determining factor to get you guys back together?
I really don't even know what was the actual determining factor.
I used to joke back in the day, like one day we would just become a social club. And that was actually the name of our chat for a while. I think it was finally like the realization that Paul wasn't going to do it. And when we asked Andy about playing guitar, he was all about it, and here we are. So that was like October, I think.
Yeah, around there, I think. Yeah, Ron and Fody, we played with the Hands Resist at Trick Millie's, and I think we were breaking down, and they're like, "Hey, by the way."
I'm down.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to play guitar, buddy?
I was like, "Yeah, sure."
So the Hands Resist is pretty much Faith with minus 2 people.
Yep.
And so then you're like, well, we already have 3 of the pieces, and then the other 2 kind of fell in, and then here we are, right?
Yeah, I mean, like that's kind of where the scene is for, especially on the original side around here. Like a lot of people share members. I mean, look Alive in Montongo share 2 guys, and we share 3. And,
it's really hard to find like new people in the area that actually have like the dedication and then have the skill and the gear and the time to be able to put into an actual project. So I just get other people that are in the same bands and start new bands.
That's a lot of the battle. It's like you like have a good guitar player, but then they have like, oh, I don't have stuff to play live. Or you have a guy that, oh, I have an awesome rig, but I can't play guitar. or like they just have to. It's that freaking equation. You just need to be able to put everything together and get the worst is getting everyone in the same room the first time, and that's after that point it's incredibly easier. But for the most part, it's like I've gotten to the point of, hey, if someone mentions something like, I'm not going to get excited until we're literally all in the same room together.
Yeah.
So
it was nice. It was that Andy, myself, and Ron and Beaner played together in a band in 2012.
Yeah.
12, yeah.
So
we did a 90s tribute for a little bit. It was a lot of fun.
That was fun. Nice. Now, I seen you guys. The first time I ever seen you guys was at the Roundhouse. I had a blast. It was really, really, really fun. I remember the Roundhouse being a lot smaller back then. Now I don't know why, but now I went back since it's open. I was like, wow, there's a lot more room here than I thought.
It did seem. I thought the same thing.
Yeah,
like
like
back after a few years.
It was. I was like, I just always remembered like that wall just being way closer.
Yeah. That was
And then hanging out there, and then I see you guys. I still talk about the show forever because I can't believe what the cover price was for what was there. So there was an opening band. I always forget the name, but my buddy Joey Coons was in that band. And then after, I think it was Waking Up Dead, if I'm not mistaken. Yes,
you're
Waking
right,
Up Dead. Then it was you guys, then Crowbot, then Cyanide. And it was a $3 cover at Goodfellas. And I was like, I remember just going there, I'm like, these fucking bands are all like, this is when I'm like my introduction to like the music scene and getting into it and seeing local bands. Like, this is a fucking good show. Like, it was awesome. And like, at the end of the night, everyone's like, holy shit, like, all these bands were super, super talented. Like, and it was just, that's what kind of sparked me. I told you as soon as I opened that window.
I think Silent put out their music video that night, right?
Yep.
Video release.
Yep. They video of Hourglass on the projector.
Yep.
Yeah. It was an awesome night. Really, really fun. That's the night I met Dave Campbell. I met Dave that
Sorry
night.
to hear that.
Yeah, that was
Cousin
my-
Dave.
that's when I met Cousin Dave. He came over and headbanged with me during your set, and his glasses flew off, and someone stepped on them. And he's like, "Well, I'm not going to see the rest of the night," and he just kind of walked around blind. And
That sounds like Dave.
yeah, he was probably already blind from the booze, but yeah, that was the night I met him, and then our friendship blossomed. So that was a really pinnacle moment for me, that show, because that's when I kind of met a lot of the friends I have, and then blossomed into future friendships then.
Cool.
So that was a really cool night, and that's, you guys always have that connection, so it was a really fun time. So let's get into our first beer here, and then each beer we'll kind of do like a hot wings, I think the hot ones, and then like ask a question each beer.
All right.
So we'll start off with your the single cut. Now I had the single cut. What was that one called? More Cowbell Eric
Yeah.
or something like that.
More
Yeah, they have a lot of
cowbell.
music themed ones. I had one. Workers are going
Chocolate
home.
milk.
It was an Imperial IPA, I believe.
Alrighty.
Good old Weezer reference.
Soup bell. That was the Eric Moore Cowbell.
So we got-
stout.
Yeah, the
This
milk
is-
chocolate stout.
Prague, and it is a double dry hop.
Now is that a Harry
IPA.
Potter thing?
No, Prague, like Prague metal, Prague.
Oh, I just
music.
seen like the
Prague rock.
the cut the little logo
Yeah,
on it.
so
Looked
we
like
got like they're all like most of their stuff is music themed. So like I saw Prague and I saw metal and I'm like, yeah, I gotta get those.
that. Where'd you find these at?
Craft House in Minersville,
Nice.
dude. It's like a minute from my house. They have like the best selection I've seen around
I gotta
here.
go there. I keep forgetting about that place.
It just keeps getting better too.
Craft House. Yeah, we got a lot of single cut. Some of our stuff from the Cake Stand in Monte City.
They have good places, things about theirs too. Every now and then that what's the place down here on the main drag?
I know what you're talking, but they've
It's at
been
the very end of the street.
You
Every
have to
now and
get-
then they'll have some gems, but not a lot.
and you have to get it quick too, or
Yeah.
it goes fast.
Like, they're the only place around here I found any Brew Dog beers.
I have to drive to the ends of the earth. I have a bar in my house.
Yeah.
So I have 6 stools, and I have to drive like everywhere.
Try the Cake Stand, you'll be surprised.
or Craft House.
All right.
What?
Driving across the road for beer.
Yes.
Yes.
Everywhere.
Ben drives like upstate New York to Hudson Valley. He goes like
Oh, you're one of those guys.
Yeah, he goes to
Those are
But the
release
cool thing
dates.
is like the stuff he gets, he uses as like trade bait.
Yeah.
And then gets other cool stuff that we actually display on the show.
Yeah,
So it works
nice.
out really well.
Yeah, I have some buddies that do that stuff.
Mhm. He
Don't
actually
have
got us that
patience.
Lucky Charms beer that everyone was freaking out about. It was overhyped.
Yeah, I've had some buddies go down to like Burley Oak and like Treehouse. and-
Ironically enough, I've been to Burley Oak last week.
Nice for the
So-
dreams.
That's
Yeah,
really good.
actually, I have one of them. It's an orange dreamsicle.
Oh my god! I tried to take a sip of it. It I have a hard time with sours.
Soon
I
as-
love
dude,
that.
especially
Soon as-
Burley Oaks.
That gland back here that it hits, I sip. I'm like,
Put it this way, I got a whole case of it.
Oh, nice.
I had it one a second time around. So
Oh,
if you
that's
guys
awesome.
want to try it,
I will not. You don't have to twist my arm. The Burley Oak dreams are phenomenal.
The cool thing with the sours is that I will definitely say the aftertaste of a sour is one of the best aftertastes in any beer you're gonna get. Like that juicy flavor, like you get a lot of the taste after the initial punch in the face of the sour. And once you get past that, it's a good tasting beer, but it's hard to
It
get.
sometimes depends on where they come from too. Like the what the heck are the ones the Vale puts out from Bushman? It's like the Tasties.
oh yeah.
They are like they're scary. They're ridiculously drinkable, and they're just that right amount of sour,
Mhm.
and they usually hover like 5 ABV or so, but
I think we
they
had
are tasty.
I think we had a veil on the show before, right?
You would know better than that.
No, wait. No, that was a Tired Hands. It was a Tapachi milkshake, and it tasted like Boilo a little bit.
Yeah.
Like the spices and all, like the
Nice.
allspice and all. Yeah.
I was dabbling in home brewing for a little bit, and I thought about making a Boilo themed beer, but then I just maybe one day I'll do it again.
I was gonna think about that. And I was like, you know what? I my problem is I do too much at once. Like when I first started the podcast, like I'm doing an interview show, but I also like pro wrestling and this, and this, and then like 6 shows turned into 5, and then 5, and now we're down to 4. So I just, and then I'm like, now I want to do this, and this. And I just take on. If I just focus on one thing, I'm probably really good at it. Like that's why I was like, I'm gonna learn how to play guitar, but then I want to learn this, and this on top of it. And it's like you don't have
So
enough
you're
time
never
in the
gonna learn
day.
anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to do too much. I have like ADHD when it comes to like that kind of
The
stuff.
hobbies, yeah.
Typically, this time of year is Kirsch Goza for me from Victory.
Oh yes,
that.
I like that one.
I think I get a 6 to that soon.
What are some of your favorite summer beers that you look forward to? Like,
My
Obviously,
favorite beach beer lately has been the past few years have been the Dogfish Head Sequence Ale.
Mhm.
It's just a perfect beach beer.
It's on tap in my basement.
Oh, nice. So we're gonna rock.
Next show.
And at my pool.
Well, as soon as it warms
On
up,
tap two
All right.
different places.
if I don't get an invite when it warms up, I'm gonna be upset.
So I love fruity beers. I don't know what it is about it. I love sours and fruity beers. So orange is the new ale, which is a Susquehanna. It's very orangey,
Mhm.
but that's like my jam right
We
now.
just had yesterday. We had David Lorenzo. He's a guy. He knows Cheesefoot, and then he turned us on to him. He like an hour and a half, 45-minute drive. He came on the show, and he actually developed film with Super 8 Dogfish Head.
Oh, nice.
He found it like I guess they made the Super 8 beer, and they said some of the ingredients that are in that beer are actually used with Kodak's filming process. Obviously, you have to add other stuff with it. He said if he would have used a different type of film, it would have came out better. But he took a couple pictures, and then he did like a developing process here while we were talking and drinking beers. But he used a beer, and like he got one image out of like all of them to kind of come out. But he used beer to develop film.
That's awesome. That's
And it was a really good beer too. The Super 8 by Dogfish Head,
Mhm.
very tasty.
Everything
beer.
Dogfish Head usually puts out is pretty solid.
Yeah, Sequence is my favorite right now. It's
Yeah.
just like I'm glad they put that up because you used to only get it.
It was originally seasonal, I think, just because of how. Oh, is it year round now?
Yeah, it's year round
Nice.
now.
Oh, yeah, that's like the perfect beach beer. That and the Terrapin has one called Tea Time.
Mhm.
It's like it's like a sweet tea sour.
Yeah.
It's
Now,
awesome.
one of my breweries I like a lot, and you commented, "F that brewery, I don't like them." Evil Genius.
Oh,
Not an Evil Genius fan. I like a lot of their beers.
gross. Their beer, clever names.
Very clever names. Like I really like. They made a peach beer. I was a really big fan of. I had it on tap. It was I forget the name of it though, but it was really really good.
The only one I've had from them that was decent was like the Purple Monkey dishwashers. The peanut,
That was a good one.
chocolate peanut
That was
butter.
I actually
stout,
like that
I
one
think.
better than Sweet Baby Jesus.
But I won adulting. It was some kind of IPA. I'm like, I don't even think there's hops in this thing.
Yeah, that one was really really
They
weird.
contract brew too. Like they don't have their own. They're
Oh,
like,
really?
They're like nomads. They were anyway. I don't know if they still are, but everything I've had from this.
What are some of your local favorite PA brew like local beers that you can get? Like PA like Victory, Rusty Rail,
Lancaster,
Trogs.
Trogs, obviously.
Can't go wrong with
Trogs is good.
Trogs.
Lancaster.
I want to
they're,
try Lollipop so bad.
Lollipop is wonderful.
Is it?
The
I gotta
Dirt
find it.
Wolf? I think
Dirt
that's
Wolf
what
and
it is.
Victory,
Wolf,
yeah. That was like my
It's-
introduction to double IPAs. I'm like,
Yeah,
this beer's
well,
9%. Let's
yeah,
do it.
that's when I figured out that there are IPAs that I like when I had
Yeah.
because I was down in Philly drinking with I think it was Todak actually. And he's like, "Yo, try this beer." And I had it. I'm like, "Oh, it's IPA. It's gonna suck." And then I got completely hammered.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like my intro to like double IPAs, I think. But I love Lost Tavern down in Hellertown.
Oh yeah.
Lost,
Actually,
yeah, Lost Tavern has some really solid stuff. Their sours are great. Their IPAs are awesome. I love Funk out of Mayes and Elizabethtown too. Trying to think of, I feel like there's someone missing that are like not like the mass, like the big ones like Trogs, Victory,
Yeah.
stuff like that. They're great too. Hidden River down in Douglasville's pretty
Cunningham.
nice. Oh, Stickman down in Roarsford is awesome too.
Yeah.
So
Cunningham made one of my favorite IPAs of all time. Up at the movie theater bar, they had that the grape IPA.
I didn't get to try that one. That one sounded really good.
That was awesome. That was one of my favorite IPAs. I think that was like one of my only fives on tap. I have someone we were talking about yesterday in the show. Like everyone's Untapped has like one or two ones that you're like embarrassed about. Like you go back and look at your score.
Yeah, I rank Miller High Life number 5 on that. So. He's a champagne of beers.
A couple good beers from Saucony Creek.
Yeah, Saucony Creek is good down in Kutztown area.
Yeah, I want to go really bad to Flying Dog. That's like my number one brewery I want to hit up just because of like the Hunter S. Thompson and the artwork and stuff. I really want to hit that one up.
Yeah, we were down in we went to Harper's Ferry, West Virginia last year, and like literally every bar, like it's almost like Jim Thorpe. But like pretty much every bar in town with like Flying Dog, everything since it's so close in Maryland. But
yeah,
it's pretty cool. But it would be cool to get down there.
Yeah, I want to definitely hit that one up. All right, let's get this can here. I fucking love. It's like just it looks like pagan devil witchcraft Illuminati stuff, and then you have a goofy like centaur with wearing boxer shorts, which is funny.
I like Hoof Hearted Brewing
Yeah,
Company.
they have awesome artwork. Like they're really cool. He gets a lot of Hoof Hearted, but this is when he showed me this can and I seen like the pagan stuff. I'm like this doesn't get any more metal than that. So, and this is a triple Indian IPA.
Ooh, a triple?
Yeah,
Oh,
triple.
man. This is gonna hurt a little.
A buddy of mine just gave me a triple from Icarus Brewing in Jersey that was like 10.5%.
Wow.
And it drank like a session. It was scary.
We had what was that? The devil
Devil's Hop Yard.
Devil Hop Yard by Connecticut Brewing Company.
Mm.
It was like juice, and
It
it
was
was like,
8.6, but I swear to God, when you're drinking, you would never have any clue it was that high.
it was insane.
Dude, some of those are scary.
And then
You're like, I'm gonna have like 2, and I'm like, and I'm drunk.
there was one right before it was
It looks like boil.
Devil's. or, what was it, Tony?
This
I
is
was
a
like,
10
this isn't Twisted Tea.
This is a 10.
Yeah. Who's your favorite brewing company? Bud Light.
This is
Like
actually,
my ice cream, vanilla, nice and plain, man.
I'm the same way. Like pizza, plain cheese pizza.
Right.
Yeah.
Sweet sauce or no?
I can go either way.
I go solid sweet.
And
I mean, I live in
sweet sauce.
I live
That
in-
explains a lot.
I would eat both. But
Explains
I
a
like
lot.
sweet
No
sauce.
sweet sauce.
Explains a lot.
I live in Frackville. We have the 2 best.
Yeah,
sweet sauce
you
places.
have to like sweet
Yeah,
sauce,
like-
basically. 'cause-
There's no getting out of that.
Yeah.
It's for you.
Okay.
I do not like sweet
I heard negative reviews on that one already.
What's that?
Stack and paper.
Oh.
It gets a 4.15 on the average thing.
It's like drinking a pine cone.
It's like what?
It's bitey.
There's something with that.
Drinking a
aftertaste
pine
is
cone.
like-
I'm not a huge IPA guy.
It is
That's-
a 10.5.
That is way better than I thought it would be.
Well, you are today. It's not bad.
I
That's
really
really
have
good,
high
too.
expectations.
Dark
Not
beers.
an
and
IPA. I will
porters.
make you an
That's-
IPA
I'm
guy.
into porters.
I want to like porters, but the problem is every time I drink one, it immediately tastes like coffee to me, and I hate the taste of coffee.
That's what I'm the same way, but there are porters out there that don't have that horrible coffee.
Yeah,
taste.
it's hard to find.
I don't
them.
like coffee either.
Yeah.
I
I
give you
know.
one to
It kills
try.
me every
You'll
time.
probably agree if you like porters. It's the only one that I really like.
Woo!
Line Kugel's vanilla porter.
Oh,
Winter
yeah.
vanilla porter.
I've had that.
That's awesome.
I'll
Yeah,
do you
it's
one.
awesome.
I'll do you one up. There's a place in Bellefonte, Robin Hood Brewing Company, makes a blueberry pancake porter.
Ooh, that
I
sounds
had that.
delicious.
That's very good.
Phenomenal.
Very good.
Probably one of the best porters I've ever had.
That's good.
Yeah.
Solid.
Who makes that?
That's a 4. That's a solid 4 on the tap scale.
Yeah.
I like it could be like this is Neapolitan with cherries and chocolate, and as soon as I hear chocolate, I know
Yeah.
it's gonna taste like coffee.
I'm a coffee addict, so like I love stouts, but I don't like stouts in warm weather or porters. Like
Yeah, I
I
can
don't
only
like
do that
heavy
in
beers
winter.
once it gets warm.
Yeah.
Like some people love them all year round, but I
You also drink cold coffee, so it makes sense.
I can
drink
go,
coffee
dude,
cold.
have you ever had? Do you drink cold brew coffee?
cold brew.
Coffee's supposed to be hot.
Drink
it's
cold brew.
not.
You will never go back. I guarantee.
Cold brew. That's the few.
Cold
the
brew done
only-
right is amazing.
The only good like Dunkin' coffees cold. They're cold brew.
So what do you think of this one here?
I like it. It doesn't bite really bad.
an
Like
IPA.
sometimes some triple
There's
some
a
triple
corn-
IPAs get really like boozy.
Wow.
And
Wow.
That's that doesn't taste like a 10
no, it
at
does
all.
not.
Like
And
this-
like some are like, ooh, that's alcoholic.
Yeah, like your first sip initially at that, woo, there's something there,
Yeah,
and then your
there's
next
a
sip, you're
little
like,
bit there, but it's
then
not,
your next sip, you're like, oh, it's gone.
There's
and
a
then,
slight little like the booziness at the end, but for the most part, it's very mute.
like that'll sneak on you if you try to take two of those cans.
yeah, no, that'll mess you up.
that'll be a long night. That's a sweet can too. I'm keeping this can's mine, right?
That's fine.
All
Yeah.
right. I have a collection of cans.
Ones that I like, I've been trying to, if I can peel the label off, I've been slapping.
So we do here. So like,
case.
if you look, like the Breakfast Club, that's from Russ.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's from Breaker Brewing.
Breaker Brew. So
Yeah,
right
they
by
had the
you
whole
is
Breakfast
Allison.
Club. Yeah, they had the whole like
Oh,
Breakfast
the-
Club series.
yeah,
And the
basket
Jock,
case.
the Criminal. They were really good.
I really like Breaker, but a lot of they use all that milk sugar and everything tastes the same so much.
Yeah.
That's sort of like the milkshake IPAs and stuff. Like some of them are really good. Like Tired Hands is an amazing one, but not $26 a 4-pack.
Oh,
Amazing.
no way. and like I noticed like a lot of it was like with the quality then
Yeah.
too. I actually want to try and get some Omnipolo beer then too, because now you can actually get it shipped
Oh,
from
nice.
Sweden to the United States.
Oh, awesome.
And it's all international.
Even
so
to Pennsylvania, because I know Pennsylvania's they're dirt balls with that stuff.
well, I'd have to figure that one out, but
I just had something from Sweden.
Make
I
a friend
have
in
to
another
see,
state.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Hello,
was some kind of
Swedish
IPA
fish.
from Sweden.
What was the beer you brought with the Swedish fish?
I have to look it up.
that is Swedes and Heat. That was by Other Half with collaboration with Stockholm Brewing Company. It's
Other
all
Half makes
Swedish
good
fish.
beer.
Actually, I had an Omnipolo. I had Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah.
It was pretty
Other
good.
Half is really good. They make good beers.
Yeah, Other Halves. I like Other Half.
And Trillium.
Yeah, Trillium.
Trillium is really good. Like he made a trip up there and brought some Trillium back. If you have a chance to try Trillium there, it's really, really tasty.
Yeah, they're solid. They do like your IPAs. They do saisons, stouts. They also do what the hell? They do porters. They do a little bit of everything. but you have to get them in a rotation if you want something.
Mhm.
They did I think they did a rice lager, I think, then too, with a collaboration.
Palace
with
lager. The Chinese beer.
So when the
Shmane.
when the band first came about, what was the birth of Faith in Exile?
That's an odd story.
I remember you guys asked me to sing originally.
Oh, wait, hang on.
It's an
No,
odd
that's
story.
that's like the second part of that.
That's
Story.
the
Odd story.
All right, so I had been
I
in a
think so.
band with
I can't remember. It was one of the things.
with a guy named Justin Frank. He sang. I was playing guitar. We put an ad out for a drummer. Or no, was your ad already up?
I put an ad in Fulton's.
All right, so we found. That's how I found Ron, and then Beaner had known Justin from high school, and I had met Beaner at some point, and he had joined as a bass player, even though he didn't have a bass or play bass. So
I remember Beaner sang for Zach Campbell's little band.
Yeah, he's an actor on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what, and because that's how we found Zach, and then I'm like, oh, Beaner shouldn't sing.
Peter's probably watching, just flipping you off.
I hope so. We love Beaner though.
So Ron comes down to my house to audition
For
He-
Wormwood Star at the time.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, it was gonna be Faith in Exile. So he comes down. He comes down and he's like setting up, and he just like gets this look on his face. And Ron, I think, was 15?
Yeah.
16?
Yeah, I was young.
Right, I think you were 16. And he gets his look on
Had
his
to
face.
be
I'm
on
like, what's going on? He's like, I forgot my cymbals.
Honest to God.
So he tries out. I'm like, I guess you're here, just like, you drove like an hour to get to my house. It's like, try, just play. So I played it on. I was like, yeah, that's good. I mean, if you want the gig.
Yeah, I guess because I'm out of options now.
So that's it.
This
So-
guy.
So Justin had quit in January, and that day that he quit, we actually drove to. He working at FYE,
Yeah.
I think, right? And
You
we
went to
asked,
FYE?
yeah.
it's small.
So Beaner and I drove up to Fractal and asked Andy if he wanted to sing, but you were just getting with. Was it? As
That was
EJ
right
dies
when
at
we
that
started
point?
Among Thy Saints.
Among Thy
actually,
Saints, all right. So I remember when Justin quit, Beaner just looks at me. He's like, "I guess you're singing."
yeah.
That's kind of how I started to sing. Like I wasn't.
Mhm.
That was it. So, and then Fody had actually tried out because we wanted a second guitarist, and Fody actually had come to play with us before Justin quit. And I remember Fody being like, "Nah, you guys just aren't heavy enough for me."
Yeah.
Which at that point we weren't. We were just kind of like a hard rock band.
Yeah.
So Fody had actually tried out too. So we played as a 3-piece for a couple of months. We had another guitarist called Motley for a little bit, and then we had a couple shows lined up. And we asked Fody just to come on as just a second guitarist just for the couple shows, and you just kind of never went away.
Yeah.
I think I remember looking at you like we played a Croc Rock show for like the Jackass 2 premiere.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Got choked by Don Vito. I think I remember looking at Fody. I was
For
like,
fun, or did you piss him off?
There's a picture
No,
of
it's for
Beaner
fun. Yeah,
getting
we both-
choked, I
we
think.
both got choked.
Yeah.
I think I looked at Fody. I was like, I guess you're the band. Like I don't know what else you're hanging around.
But we also wrote One False Word, and that's when
Yeah,
he kind of started sticking
that
around.
was,
Yeah.
that was a big turning point because before, like, I wasn't into the whole, like, it was more of a hard rock, like Breaking Benjamin, kind of more in that direction, and I just wasn't a fan of that. I thought, oh, Pantera,
Yeah.
like,
He didn't know we were all metalheads, though. I don't.
Yeah, I started learning, like, as practicing with them, like, okay, well, these guys like, riffs that are heavy as shit, and they like solos and this and that, and then that's when we wrote One False Word together, and then I was like, all right, this can work out, and then I just kind of stuck around,
Yeah, I have a hard time with Breaking Ben. I hear it, just doesn't do it.
Fucking
It doesn't
stand
do it
it.
for me.
Ugh.
Yeah,
And
but-
ask these guys about my eternal hatred for Breaking Bad.
But I did.
It's never gonna end.
But I did meet
It's a-
Bug.
It's definitely a
Bug
love.
used to be in a
Oh,
band
yeah,
with,
I know
and he
Bug.
was cool.
Bug's a good guy. No, I know Bug a long time.
Yeah.
It's a very love-hate thing for me for Breaking Ben. I really don't necessarily like Breaking Ben, but their drummer's brilliant. He's a super smart
Oh,
guy.
yeah.
You watch any of his stuff.
They're all
As far as
talented.
musicians,
Obviously, they're
he's
talented.
He's
It's
stupid
just-
smart. Stupid.
They have a formula, and
I think
So I think their formula though started kind of at the tail end of their second album. That first album for me, that first album's nostalgic for me
Yeah.
because that was like the first like local band that I had known of that actually like went on to
Mhm.
bigger and better things.
We played Polyamorous when I tried out, wasn't it? We played a Breaking Ben song.
We might have. Yeah.
Shallow Bay.
I don't remember. Yeah, we used to play a couple
Yeah,
songs in our set.
they were
Schuylkill
tour
County
cover
Castaway.
I think what turned me off of the band was all the Ben stories.
band. Oh, Burnley's apparently a huge
Huge
asshole.
ass,
Yeah, I think that's what ruined it.
we both. So our band and Aziz, I did you guys record at Zaren with?
Yeah,
Among
yeah,
Thy
'cause,
Saints?
yeah, he
so,
grew up with
so
him.
yeah, so
No,
the
we
guy,
recorded that with Among Thy Saints too. Yeah.
right, so the producer that both our bands worked with went to school with Ben. So we
Yeah.
heard stories from him.
All the stories.
Like,
They're accurate.
And
Yeah.
they're mostly
All stories are
accurate.
true.
So while we crack this next one open, metal, we're gonna go around the table. I want to hear some of your all-time favorite metal bands. We'll get into that a little bit here.
All right.
So this is
So we got metal from Single Cut,
another single cut.
another double dry hop dippa. Sorry, Ron.
I'm just a drummer.
Do you drink that twisted tea?
You wave that.
Washing the hops down with the tea.
You wave that flag. You fly that flag forever.
7.7.
Oh, that one's good.
I'm sure the response is going to be it's an IPA, right?
I just can't. I'm just not.
I'm
I
pretty
can't.
sure, except for the Metallica beer, they're all and the Fool's Gold, they're all
Just can't get
IPAs.
into the
right?
IPA thing. I don't know why.
Oh, would you like some rock and rye?
That's tasty.
Yes.
Ooh,
This
right.
should be a
Bring
very
out the bottle.
fresh
I'm
ale.
I'm very interested in that one
Yeah.
once we get there. But like I said, these were music related. But the next one we'll talk about that one then.
the dabble.
So who do you want to start? Where are we going?
We'll go around.
You go with me?
Yeah.
Start with the new guy.
All-time favorite heavy metal bands? Well, I have to list Metallica, I mean. And Slayer. Anthrax, actually, probably of the big four. Anthrax is my favorite. Actually got to meet, well, it was their John Bush era, but me, Andy Header, Smurf, I forget who else was with us, but we were Croc Rock and Anthrax played there like, oh God, was it 2001? And we talked comic books with Charlie Benante, the drummer, for like 2 hours outside of Croc Rock. It was amazing, but I didn't get to meet Scotty, and I was kind of bummed about that. But Anthrax, Pantera, I mean, the ones we grew up on, kind of when we broke in, like I go back and listen to a lot of the stuff that I used to like, and I'm like, oh God, I listen to that. I think we could probably all do that. But I think some of the ones that really broke me into different things was because, I mean, prior to I'm a 90s kid. I graduated in 2001. I'm the oldest one probably in the room. But like when I was a sophomore in high school, it was like Korn, Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
Slipknot had just put out their first album. And that's what everyone was listening to. Then my one buddy at school, he was like 2 grades ahead of me, I believe. And he was like, yeah, you got to check this out. And he gave me a Victory Records sampler. And it was Hatebreed, Snapcase, Integrity. These like hardcore, but like with a metal tinge bands. And that set me off the deep end. And then the internet happened. And I discovered Swedish death metal. So, and then, but I think my all-time favorite band, that was Every Time I Die. I love their melding with the chaotic hardcore with the rock and roll, and it's done it for me every single album they put out. But honorable mentions like In Flames from Clayman and back. I'll get Reverse to Remain in there too. But At the Gates definitely, and The Haunted. Definitely some of my favorites. These guys right here, Typo Negative. I didn't appreciate them as when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, and that's unfortunately Peter Steele passed away, like 2009, I think.
Ish.
But they've grown into like one of my favorites. I gotta put a mention in for Nothing Face though too, because they kind of broke that new metal mold with the melody, and like the riffing is insane, and it's just, it was a completely different level than all the other bands that came out that time. So, but it's hard to narrow it down to just like singles though. But then metalcore happened, and I say the bands of that still are around. Unearthed is probably my favorite of them.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna not hog it all though, so keep it going. So I'm probably gonna mention about a lot of the same, but a whole bunch of things.
Yeah, a lot of the same bands are there for sure. Probably my absolute favorite would probably just have to be Black Sabbath for me, because they're just, they're the godfathers.
The godfather
of everything,
Yeah. How could I have not mentioned
Tone Iommi has the
How
best
dare you.
riffs on the
And
planet.
I'm ashamed of myself.
I was lucky enough to see him.
I said Ozzy's not doing too good right now.
Yeah, he's a little rough. But
We lose Ozzy, I don't know what we'll do.
yeah,
There's two
that's gonna be a sad.
There's
sad
two musicians on this
Let's be
planet.
honest though, Ozzy's on borrowed time the way it is.
Yeah, it's a miracle he's been around this long.
Yeah, right.
But there's a handful of musicians that I think when they leave, it's gonna be like the day like how they say the day the music died. Like my 5 would be Ozzy, David Grohl, Paul McCartney, and I like Ellen John a lot. Like
Elton John's amazing.
and like
I have Billy Joel in there.
yeah, Billy Joel. Yeah, when those 5 go, it's like fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, Steven Tyler from Aerosmith too. I mean,
Yeah.
I love Aerosmith.
certain iconic.
I love Aerosmith.
They're my first real concert.
Yeah, that was my first CD I ever bought.
Was
Big
Bon
ones.
Jovi.
Bon
That was my
Jovi.
first time.
Joan Jett.
Oh yeah, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Bon Jovi just
She still
fucking
looks
sucks.
good too.
I know.
She still looks amazing.
But yeah, I'd say Sabbath are the kings for me. We got Pantera, the Metallica, the Megadeth, Slayer. I was in all that. Another big one for me is Allison Chains. All the 90s, like that 90s grunge, them and Soundgarden, Pearl Jam were all huge ones for me. But yeah, Allison Chains, especially Jerry Cantrell specifically. As far as guitar playing goes, he just is one of the best for me, and that's like songwriting, everything like that. He's just like top tier for me. He just really hits that nerve with me, But yeah, and then later, like the first Killswitch Engage record was probably the best one for me, and that really opened me up to all the newer metal stuff, and it just kind of grew from there into prog and tech death and like all kinds of crazy, ridiculous stuff. Just went from there.
It's noisecore, Ron. You just have to appreciate it.
Yeah. So we still just gave.
But doesn't jet.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if he means the original name of the band for you guys was this, but somebody in the chat, Goober 117.
It's my brother.
I was gonna say,
Is that famous
Warm Wood Star?
Yeah.
One would start. So I was in a band. So the predecessor to Faith in Exile was Wormwood Star. So I was a band with myself, Justin, and two other guys, and it was still technically Wormwood Star when Ron tried out. So that was just kind of
Quickly
the
faded
end
and
of
went away.
We needed a new name.
There was a few month hiatus there when,
yeah,
after I bought a drum set and lost it at your house for 6 months.
Yeah, it was 2 months.
It felt like 6.
Were the symbols there?
No.
He saw the symbols.
Thank God I forgot them. I was still able to play at home.
So some of your favorite metal bands are musical influences.
So I came from like a different place than Andy and Fody. I was much more into punk when I was younger. Punk, pop punk. So that was kind of me through my teenage years. And then I think I had heard The Used, like their first album when they came out. And I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. So it's kind of like a punk band, but they have this screaming element to them. And from there, I kind of still listened to Poison the Well, Atreyu, Killswitch. And from there, I was like, oh, this is really, really kind of cool. I was always into the grunge stuff too. I mean, Nevermind was my first album. I used to worship Nirvana when I was younger. That's kind of actually, I think, how I got into punk, because honestly, if you look at In Utero, which is Nirvana's, their big album after Nevermind, that album's a punk album. Mm-hmm. That album was the first, screamo album. Just everything they did on that album. Without that, you do not have any of the bands in the early 2000s that did that same thing. Somebody gave me a copy of Protest the Hero Kezia. That was what got me into prog. Once I'm like, what is he doing on guitar? I hadn't played guitar for 12 years at that point. I'm like, I don't even know what this guy's doing. I can't even tell. So from there, I just kind of ballooned into, and same other bands like the Gothenburg sound. So In Flames, At the Gates, Soilwork.
Oh yeah, Soilwork.
That was a huge one for me with Soilwork. And then you start to get
Poison the Well. God damn, that almost one of my favorites too.
And you kind of start to branch off then. So then I figured out what doom metal was, and then I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then I heard Catatonia for the first time.
It was coming.
And Catatonia for me, that's probably my favorite band. So Catatonia started out as a doom metal, like a funeral metal band, and their singer hurt his voice, so he couldn't scream anymore. So actually, Michael, I can't remember his last name, guy from Opeth, actually screamed.
Ackerfeld.
Yeah, I can't pronounce his name. Yeah,
Where did you pull that from?
I think it's Ackerfeld. So he did the screaming vocals on 2 of their albums, and then Jonas moved from drums to vocals. He couldn't scream anymore, but he could still sing, and that's like doom. I don't even know what it is. It's just kind of like dark hard rock, and it's some of the best stuff I've ever heard. Other than that, Periphery is probably my favorite band. Nobody, in my opinion, nobody can touch Periphery musician wise. Like they are at like the height of their game as far as guitar, bass, drums, vocals. I mean, I don't understand
producing.
Producing.
All kinds of shit.
So we record this album in our living room, and it sounds amazing.
Yeah,
everyone's separate houses, by the way, that they just jam.
Yeah.
I always hate when people are like, when it really comes to any music. I do trash on some music, but I do still have an appreciation for it. But when people say, I can't stand that scream shit, and I was like, do you ever try screaming at the top of your lungs?
I had to learn how to do.
It's
Like
not
when we
easy.
started,
It's not
when we
easy.
started playing like heavier music, like I actually had to learn how to do that because I had no idea. Like I didn't come from a background like that, and I used to envy people that could just get up there and do it. I'm like, how? Like I had to go through this whole process. I'm still going through. I mean,
there's a
10 years
talent.
later. I'm
There's a
still going
talent
through
to
the
it.
process.
It's not easy. Like I don't know how I figured it out, honestly.
It might be easy to do, but there's a lot of people that do it terribly.
Yeah, and
Like I really try to enunciate my words.
Mhm.
Like, and there's bands that just don't.
and
Like,
not just that, but like destroying your throat, and you're not.
Yeah.
Like if you have I have a bad habit of like with the hands resist that. Even back when I used to sing for what we did as Each Day Dies, God, 1,000 years ago. But like if you can't, like I have a bad habit if I can't hear myself, I end up overproducing, and then like the next morning I'm like, hey guys, what's going on?
Mhm.
that'll be the next song for me.
Yeah.
So once you figure out how to do it, it's great. But I mean, it's
I
a
heard-
whole technique.
I heard with the
takes
screaming and
practice.
growling, if you try to falsetto it, it's even worse for your vocal cords. When you do like the half scream, I don't know how true that
It's like a
is.
fry, I think.
Yeah.
It's like a fry technique.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about doing it correctly. Like people don't understand. Like they're like, oh, so you just you yell. I was like, no, my scream is actually a lot quieter than my singing voice.
Yeah.
Like, it's all about vocal, like microphone technique. At that
Yeah.
point. But yeah, it was like a whole. I think those guys. I mean, they were with.
I remember you learning that, and it was a process.
Yeah.
It took a while.
I tried it once, and fuck that. No way.
There's a
It was-
great
it was
video.
too difficult.
Jared Dines put a video out like a year ago that he was going around. He was playing the show with people. And he was going around like, "Give me your best metal scream," because he's like, the whole purpose is like everyone's anybody could do this, so give me your best metal scream, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Everyone's going around like, ah!
Well, you used the Zen of Screaming, didn't you?
Jim
I
Rohn
did.
has
So
a-
I used that more. I ended up using that more as a vocal warm up than anything. It was just about finding your own voice. Like, and the problem is like I understand. Like, so for vocals, like you can try to sound like somebody else, like if you're singing, right? That's not hard to do. You cannot try to do that when you're screaming because you will wreck your throat so much. Like if you want to be, I want to be like Randy Blythe. Lamb of God, we forgot Lamb of God.
Yeah,
I had it on deck. Don't worry.
We'll cover them all
Yeah.
through all of
Yeah.
us at some point.
So like if I want to sound like Randall Blythe, no, you need to sound like yourself. I want to sound like Spencer Sotelo when I scream. No, you got to sound like yourself. I want to sound like dude from Black Dahlia Murder. No, you got to sound like yourself because if you try to, it's not like you're singing. If you try to impersonate them as far as screaming goes, just no bueno.
Mhm.
Not good.
Who are some of your bands? You had Lamb of God on deck, you said.
Yeah, I haven't gone on deck. My
Jonas
musical.
Brothers.
So my
Justin
mother's in a
Bieber.
band. Yeah, they're at the forefront, of course. My mother's in a band. She's sang for years, and so I was brought up on classic rock for the most part. So the big ones for me were Joan Jett, AC/DC, Van Halen, and from that it just kind of turned into.
Now-
I found
Do you
Metallica.
like Van Halen better with Sammy or David Lee Roth?
Oh, David Lee Roth.
Oh,
It's the only Van Halen there is.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as Van Hagar. It doesn't work.
I would have judged you so hard.
I would have accepted it.
Diamond Dave or
I would've just
GTFO.
left.
Like, although they say that Sammy Hagar is like, all right, I'm like,
There's no such thing.
There's
It's
only
really
one.
wrong.
Like, so I'm a huge. Don't judge me. I'm a Blink-182 fan. I love.
No,
Blink.
I'm a huge Blink
Yeah.
fan as well.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Alright, so-
Blink's probably one of the only bands that like I'm okay with Tom not being there.
Well, they have to do it from Avalanche. really,
Yeah,
so.
well, I'm. The only thing is like I always enjoyed Mark's voice better, and the
Yeah.
guy from Aqua and Shield just sounds like another Mark. So it sounds like the same guy singing every song.
Yeah, Tom's voice always annoyed the
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was like the standard of the whiny pop punk sound.
yeah. I always gravitate to sad boy music. That was my.
Didn't your mom sang backup for Chubby Checker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
Wow.
used to tour around with Chubby Checker a little bit, and she did some backup vocals with them.
Ron's mom can wail. She
Yes.
is awesome.
Yeah, that whole band in general.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
just
it's-
Right.
they've forgotten more music knowledge than we'll ever.
Yeah.
You'll never be able to attempt to learn.
Do
Yeah,
they still
Yeah.
play?
yeah they
Yeah,
play
yeah.
very frequently.
What's
Yeah.
the name of their band?
Another Side.
Another Side.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, they're awesome. They would be a hilarious group to sit in here too.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
so Jim Taranis and
It
Bill
would be a
Lindenberg.
nightmare.
How many members?
After
Ron's mom.
five.
Yeah.
After my wedding, the table that they were setting at, there was just this tapestry of straws and twigs and all kinds of stuff that they built for me. It was just obnoxious.
No, they're a great crew. And like I said, they've forgotten more music than we'll
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah,
That's why when I
Phenomenal.
first started doing the interviews and I really really wanted to tap into the music and let more people hear the story. Because obviously the interview side is, you know, the main focus, but we do like Bangin beers to be a little lighter, and then obviously try some fun beers. But you know, people come on and tell their stories. But I was like, well, if I want to get in the music scene, I think the best person to start with would be Eddie Collins' dad. Like, that guy can talk for years about music. And
Eddie Senior, Jim Duranis.
I was gonna say Jim Duranis from Another Side. And he was
Jim is like his son Danny's one of my best friends, and he used to drum in most of my bands prior to
Jim Duranis, and then you have Jimmy Samanis, who was with The Other Side, and who were just they paved the way for just about everybody in the state.
Yeah,
nice.
And then you have other people. Harry Schumann, he was with Trim Hedges, which is in the same other realm as The Other Side. And those are guys who just laid it out for all of us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my introduction to the heavier music. Now, if I name some bands that aren't heavy metal, don't judge me. Obviously,
I didn't even get to mention Lamb of God yet.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ron says Lamb of God.
I started with Black Sabbath, and then when my dad, remember those things you get in the mail where you get the stickers and you put them on and
BMG.
You get like
mailer.
You get like 15 CDs.
That's why I got my like Pantera discography.
My first, I got Aerosmith. And then I got Orgy. Remember?
Candy Ass. That was a good CD.
Yeah. And then I got
underappreciated. They got lumped into new metal, but they're more like industrial-y type.
And Duhas. Remember when Duhas was popular?
Rammstein's
awesome.
Phenomenal.
They're
I don't care what anybody says.
They're awesome.
I love Rammstein.
I want to see them.
If you start digging into their stuff, that's not like the radio songs.
Dude,
it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to them lately ever since Deutschland came out, and I'm like, I went back and listened to a bunch of Rammstein. I'm like, Rammstein's underappreciated for
the hooks and the melodies that they put in the stuff.
Yeah, they're just a bunch of weirdos. But they're German, so
super. Yeah,
Till Lindemann is a weird dude.
The introduction to screaming was obviously Chester. I mean, a lot of people. That was for me anyway. Chester from Linkin Park was my introduction to screaming, and then System of a Down, and then from there like the Slipknot, and then Mudvayne and stuff like that. And
Mudvayne.
Mudvayne LD50 was a great album.
Yeah.
After that. Because LD50 was like that also broke the new metal mold too, because like Rhino, their bass player, he's freaking like ridiculous. Like
they playing jazz stuff.
Yeah, the jazz and their rhythm section was absolutely
that was the first time you saw
insane
people in new metal experimenting with different time signatures.
Yeah.
That was huge.
Like it was just absolutely crazy.
Wes Borland from Limp Bizkit did some pretty crazy shit.
He tried to.
Were you a Story of the Year guy?
What about Drowning Pool? That was another big one for me when I first started. But then the original lead singer passed away.
Yes.
I mean, Let the Bodies Hit the Floor became more of a funny song. But at its time, I thought it was pretty cool. Like, I don't know.
The guitar player looked like bald Matt Hardy with a ponytail.
Yeah.
I'll side with you. I was into it because at that time I hadn't found any of the heavier stuff.
Yeah.
After that is when I found Lamb and Shadows Fall.
Yeah, that's kind of
those guys who really started driving me into the really heavy metal stuff.
Yeah,
that's kind of that weird transitional period where like it was what you found on TV, like MTV, with like Headbangers Ball was around like 120 minutes, so you find the Slipknots and the Korns and all that crap. But then like Napster happened, and then that's where we're like a lot of the that's where I found Swedish death metal. I'm like, I heard this band of In Flames. I'm like, what's this? I think the first song I ever heard was Episode 666. I'm like, this is amazing. And then I was like, I got all their albums now.
A big way for me too that I learned a lot of good music was the Guitar Hero video games. They put a lot of like heavy songs in there. You're like, man, this song is so good because it's so hard to play on the video game. And then you're like, well, that means this band's awesome, and then it drove a lot of people to like that type of music as well.
That's actually originally how I heard of, not heard of them, but actually started listening to Every Time I Die.
Oh yeah,
that first Guitar Hero game.
Yeah,
or being in college and like playing it instead of doing college things. You know? And that's where I heard them. I was like, wow, I always thought Every Time I Die was like they're always lumped into that weird like screamo category.
Yeah.
For me. But then because of the name, you know, then I heard them and I was like,
all
wow,
the die
this
bands.
is actually awesome. Yeah,
so
all the die bands.
Fact or fiction? You beat Guitar Hero with your toes.
Yeah, he was on the easiest set.
With your toes.
He still did it though.
Strumming and
yeah, it was legit.
Both things in your face.
Yeah, it really wasn't that hard. that they'll let them.
You're not a real person. How long are your toes?
Well, we call them dildo fingers for a reason. I mean,
Well, that's okay. It wasn't like I was doing this with my toes, like it was
got
on
like
the
an
easiest
opposable
setting,
great
so I
toe or
was just like
something.
kind of doing this.
Now, when you
like-
said you beat it, you played every game.
no, it was just like a song or two. I think I did.
Okay,
with it.
all right.
It was,
That's hilarious.
but it was, it really wasn't as hard as
That was amazing.
Trivium Ascendancy, we forgot to mention that one too.
Oh yeah, that was a big album.
That album was awesome.
Yeah. We jammed that one a lot.
All That Remains, followed by
It
Deal
was
is probably
gonna
my
be my
favorite.
next thing I was gonna say.
Probably my favorite metal album of all time.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the next one. This is Dabble, which is going to lead me into my next question. Well, you said this is a funny name to this, right?
Not so much a funny name,
Or
but
funny story
we have
to
a
this?
song.
Relevant.
I dabble in the dark arts, and we just call it Dabble.
Dabble.
So as soon as I saw this, I'm like, well, I got to buy that.
Now, I was going to say,
I brought 2 cans because it's a 12 ounce or so.
we could definitely
We'll have to circle back around.
Ring around the rosy.
Yeah.
Now, my segue to this would be dabbling. When did you guys start playing your instruments, or start learning how to play your
We
instruments,
started
or
playing-
singing?
I started singing and playing guitar around the same time, but I never took guitar seriously when I first started playing. It was kind of an afterthought.
That's an interesting taste.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, this was like coconut and weird shit in it, I think.
Yeah, I got the coconut immediately. I'm not a coconut.
Ooh,
Suntan lotion.
No, I honestly-
like that.
You know what's awesome, actually? It smells like coconut, but it doesn't taste like coconut.
Yeah,
No, I taste coconut.
I tasted a little bit, but a lot of
I think
coconut things
the smell.
overpower everything.
Yeah, when it gets to your nose, you get the coconut,
Yeah.
and that's your first smell and
It's like-
taste.
I just had one recently. I forget where it's from, but it was a coconut something. I was like, I don't want to try this, but my buddy gave me a can, and it was like all coconut. I'm like, oh.
Oh yeah, but I could really smell the coconut now.
But like this doesn't have that really bad. Like it smells more than it tastes. It smells like a fruit juice.
I really
Tastes
like
better
it,
than
yeah.
the last one.
It's pretty boozy too.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah,
Smells boozy.
yeah. What is this one?
8.2.
8.2.
It tastes like that V5.
Where's that rock and roll?
V5. Is that
There's something about rock and roll. There's no rock and roll.
V8? No, there's like
I thought V5 was a shampoo.
V05. There's
V05.
There's
There you
something
go.
similar to that name. I know it's not V8, but that I like.
Vanilla
fruit juice.
coconut,
I think
whatever
it's
swab
somewhere-
is.
It's probably just Tang and a bunch of
It's,
carbonation.
to me, it smells like boozy suntan lotion.
Yeah.
With that
Yeah, it's
coconut.
suntan lotion.
This actually really be a pretty good beach beer.
Yeah.
But
Right, I'm drinking Hawaiian Tropic.
I started singing around I probably was like 16 or so. And I dabbled in guitar. You said it.
You see my segue?
There we are. But basically just like my one friend, we used to drive around and listen. He was my only friend that had like a decent like sound system in his car. And we would drive around listening to Pantera and Slayer. And then one day I was singing along to Pantera and they're like, yo, you actually sound really good. And then I would come home like a dumbass, and not a dumbass in the long, but like no one would be home. Like my mom and dad wouldn't be home from work yet or anything. So I'd crank my stereo up and I would just scream along to music. That's just how I kind of learned how to do it. Then some of my friends started playing guitar at the time, and one didn't really take it seriously. And when I started just messing around with it, like I didn't know anything at all, but something just felt right. So like I remember my own buddy gave me this piece of shit acoustic. Like it was terrible. Like one of the E string on the nut broke off. There was a piece of paper wedged under it and stuff. But I remember the first thing I ever learned was like the beginning of One by Metallica, like the da-na-na-na. I'm like, this is easy. And then I tried to learn the rest. I'm like, no. And I'm like, So I just kind of messed around with guitar here and there for a little bit. But I sang a lot. And then my first band, I guess right after I graduated, my buddies Matt Macarone and Chris Zinda and Josh Pogash, they had come to me. They're like, yo, we're starting a band. Do you want to sing? We heard you're pretty good. And I'm like, yes, I do. So like we had Twine was my first band ever. That's actually, I met Rob.
You've been in a lot of bands.
Yeah, there's been a good bit of them. So like with Twine, we did like Deftones and Rage Against the Machine, and I wanted to go heavier. We had some originals that were the most god awful things I've ever heard in my life. I'm glad they don't exist in real life anymore.
There's still no. I will tell you where it exists. So
Don't tell him. Just bring him to practice.
After I had met you and I went to see you
MySpace.
guys play, no, you guys had a website. I think it might be
Did
like
we have a Twine website?
It was maybe like a GeoCity, you know,
Probably,
like,
yeah.
right?
Angel
Right.
Fire.
But you had songs there, and I actually downloaded one. It is on my mother-in-law's old computer.
Oh my god.
And it's still somewhere in there.
I will probably cringe into the stratosphere if I hear that. Dude, I listen to As Each Day Dies stuff that we have recorded. Why did people like us?
I did that with our last album, so it's all right.
But so like I just we did that for a long time. We were doing like Nothing Face and we had all covers. We had a few originals, but it kind of died down then. And then after that, I started playing guitar a little more seriously. And I remember I had a PC Rich. I had the piece of shit acoustic. Then I'm like, Mom, I need a guitar. Like I didn't have like a job or anything yet. And I remember I started getting Musician's Friend in the mail, and there was like a BC Rich Warlock bronze edition. It was like $150 or something like that.
Everybody.
Yeah, I think everyone had a bronze Warlock at some point. But yeah, it was a Slayer guitar.
Yeah.
And she bought that for me, and I started playing electric more. And remember jamming with like Smurf and stuff. And I didn't really take it super seriously, but I was taking like seriously like to learn scales and chords and like just the basics. And then we started a band As Each Day Dies. It was me, Danny Juranis, Chris Zinda. God, I don't remember who the hell started. Andy Header was in it.
I learned. I just found out about that. I didn't know Andy played instruments.
Andy was in As Each Day Dies and Among the Saints.
So Andy France was in that, right?
Andy France was in As Each Day Dies, and Bob Dudash was in it at the end. And
I lobbied really hard for that guitarist position, by the way.
That is true.
I did.
But I honestly forget most of that. Other than we opened for the Misfits at Goodfellas, one of the few good ideas they had. There was like 1,200 people at the warehouse. It was absolutely insane. I remember during our set, like we had all originals except we needed to fill some extra time, so we did 2 covers. We did what did we do? We did Flesh Hole by Shadows Fall. And we did Black Label by Lamb of God.
Nice.
And the entire floor exploded. And freaking Goodfellas owner was like, yo, save the moshing for the Misfits. I was like, so like their solution for the first like all-age show was they put a chain link fence down the middle of the warehouse. And as soon as my band went on, like the pit just, because the first 2 bands that opened were just straight cover bands. Actually, no one had originals, but they weren't like in the same like genre. But as soon as we went on, we had a following from the Roller Roost and all our other stuff, and literally the fence just goes against the wall, and a just giant pit opens in the front. It was amazing.
I hope the Roller Roost starts coming out again for those underage bands.
Yeah, now's the best place for kids, like just to fuck around with the band. You know?
Not even that. It was a payday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They gave us $2 per head that everyone that we went in there, and we put like 500 people in.
Yeah,
and you would come out of there as like a 18, 19-year-old band.
Yeah,
and
we'd have like
pocket a couple $100.
Exactly, and like splitting between bands. It was.
Have you ever heard that No Rain Checks yet?
No, I have not.
They're super talented, and they're all under 21.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I heard the name before.
So, because I follow government, there's a bill in the I don't know if it got passed in the PA House, and it's now
you shared that article. About that.
So it would allow minors to play in bars. It would be able. Now I laugh because I've been playing in bars since I'm like 16 years old.
Yeah.
Which a lot of these guys I'm sure have too. Yeah. But so that would kind of take care of that. They just can't. They can't be compensated, which is going to be laughable.
That's ridiculous.
Because they will get compensated because nobody tracks that. But but I hope that passes because I mean it's ridiculous. Like
in a place like this where there's pretty much just bars.
Yeah, I mean, there's nowhere for anyone to showcase. Like in an area like ours, like luckily at least we have like Prest now in Pottsville. Yeah. So like you can get some little acoustic things and stuff going on there, but no one really gives kids a shot to do. But plus, I mean, a lot of kids don't even play anymore, which is a sad thing. But hopefully that's like. We did this. I'm a human resource professional by trade, and I was at a summit we had at my company's home office back in October. And we had this presenter that was talking about generations, and it was like we got to the millennials, and like I'm technically a millennial, and it's like there's like 2 halves of millennials. There's the like stereotypical millennial, and then there's the ones like mostly like us that are we have hardworking, we have values, but we want a little bit better life. But then there's the Marylanders that want everything handed to them.
Yeah.
Then there's like the newer generation, I guess Gen Z or whatever, that are starting to fall back to more traditional values.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like they want to go to malls. They want to play music. They want to do all that stuff. So
because they saw the absurdity of the second half of the millennium.
Yeah, exactly.
How much of it you think could be too is where I'm not really trashing on our parents' generation, but the millennials like us, where we still we appreciate the newer stuff, but we also know, because we're like the only generation that kind of knows what it's like before having a cell phone and the internet.
Yeah.
Like we're in that weird gap where we've had both experiences, and we can do both versatility very well, and we're kind of training our kids, that next generation, to kind of appreciate both as well. So I think that may be where your next
maybe
Gen Z,
But I mean, that's awesome. Like, kids playing music is just, it's key.
I mean, you look at
and it sucks too. Like, a lot of schools getting rid of like arts programs in favor of like football.
I think that's the worst.
If I can go back in time, and this is before I found out I had a joint disorder, and I can go back and say, if I would have picked up an instrument rather than something with sports, I would 100% go back and change that.
Yeah.
100%.
So I think former football player. So I think that both of those things are important for people, because there's going to be kids who don't want to pick
Oh no,
up music.
I agree on
Yeah,
that.
but you
Football, they
should.
teach
So
structure
one, so exactly. So one shouldn't. They should coexist. So one shouldn't, like, you shouldn't eliminate arts because of football. You shouldn't eliminate football because of arts.
Yeah.
So definitely structure is a huge thing.
Yeah.
But being able to express yourself as a teenager is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how else are you gonna do that? Like, people go out and smoke, do drugs, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what teenagers do, because I didn't do
Yeah,
any of
we
that.
have a show. Our show, like, things that weren't cool in high school. It's funny because then when I tell like people the name of the show and it's a younger generation, they go, "Well, comic books and video games and movies are cool for us in high school. Why is your title not?"
No,
Because if you went to school and be like, "I listened to the new album," they'd be like, "What,
Dude, if Game of Thrones came out in 1998, I would be the nerd because I was watching Game of
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
and people would be like, "Oh my God, Tyrion, yeah."
like
I think about Daenerys and the Targaryens,
like, I remember going to school and being like that wrestling South Park fan, and everyone's like, "You're a fucking nerd, bro." Like, like suck it.
Me and Heather and our friends, we used to backyard wrestle at my one friend's house.
Yeah.
And I remember like doing a moonsault off my friend's wall on a header, like through a table.
Yeah.
When I was like 16. But no, it's just I forgot where I was going with that. My brain just stopped. But the art, like, it sucks when you see like, oh, the football team got a coach now, but we eliminated this one program. Stuff like that's not cool.
Yeah.
Like, there needs give and take. It does need both. Like, I agree on what Rob said. Like, I wasn't a team sports guy because of Pottsville.
Yeah.
So I turned out to, like, I ran track and I dove on the swim team because I was good at certain things and I didn't have to worry about being.
I did not know that about Andy at all.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Nope.
We wouldn't have brought you in.
Like, until just this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea that you swam.
Yeah, I was a diver.
I mean, track is one thing, and then
I would
It's
Thank you
funny
for a
because I was
soccer
born
player.
out of backyard wrestling. Like, my one friend had a trampoline in his yard that we used to beat the shit out of each other. Exactly, Jeff Hardy.
Right?
Jeff Hardy is 98% of the reason why I ended up diving. So like we used to wrestle in my friend's backyard on his trampoline, and I started learning how to do backflips and stuff. And so JFK Pool still had a good diving board at the time. And I would go out there and I'd be doing like triple flips and stuff off the diving board. And my friend's sister was a lifeguard. She's on the swim team. She's like, "Andy, we don't have any guy divers." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't want to do that." And then like, so she told like the swim coach and my gym coach. So I every single day. And like I swear, like the first day of my junior year in high school, he's like, "Andy, heard you're a good diver." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Jen's been telling me you're doing all these crazy flips and stuff." And he's like, "Why don't you come out for the team?" I was like, no. So like I got like a bunch of
We'll
people
give you cool
on me about
chunks.
it.
I'm in.
I got a bunch of about it, and then the one time my friend's sister put it out, she's like, "Andy, you're gonna be on a team. It's gonna be you and a bunch of girls." And I was like, "Sign me up." So it was awesome, and but like I basically muscled everyone out of the way in the scuba league because everyone just did pretty easy dives. I did hard shit,
Yeah.
like, and got kind of okay scores and just kind of pushed them out of the way. So I dove, guys.
Yeah, I had no idea.
And track, I somehow I was a really good hurdler when I was in high school.
I would have pegged you for a soccer player all day.
I
I
can
play
see
soccer.
it.
Yeah,
I can
but
see it. Yeah.
So going back to the dabbling, when did you start picking up your instrument and getting into it?
Oh boy, I think I first got a guitar that my dad bought me, some acoustic, some no-name brand when I was like 14, I think, but I really didn't start getting serious into it until I was about 16, maybe 15, 16. And that's when I got the beloved BC Rich Warlock that every metalhead on the planet had. And that's, just started learning a whole bunch of Aussie and, old Metallica and, shit like that. And then tried to do a couple bands, usually didn't work out, and then finally got into a band called Undying Will with a couple. We had 1 million members, but I was in with Cody Vidal. He was a singer. Mike Reed at one point.
The fighter now.
Yes, the
I'm
fighter
interviewing
now.
him soon.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I remember this.
Ask him about the old band days. It was
I
crazy.
feel so bad for him, man. He got his debut.
I know,
and
that
blew his
sucks.
knee out.
Blew his-
Yeah.
That was hard to watch.
Yeah. That's I felt bad, but I think did he get surgery today
Yeah.
on it or something?
Something very recently, yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna be my first interview that I'm gonna do over the phone.
Oh yeah.
Nice. It'll be a good interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a trip.
Yeah, he's definitely an interesting dude to talk to.
But I was in a band with him for a while, and then actually I was performing with that band, and that's where these guys saw me, and were like, "Oh, let's get this guy," and they talked me into joining, and then that's when that happened. But yeah, I've been playing for about 15 years now. Did a lot of things the wrong way, and I'm just starting now to recover from that.
You mean a Randall combo with the mids?
not as far as gear wise, like even just as technique wise, like I did everything completely fucking backwards.
Yeah.
And like I don't need to learn how to do it that way. This person doesn't do it that way, and then I just fucked myself 10 years later.
And you always fought it too. Rob would tell you stuff to try, and he'd be
Yeah,
like,
he
I just don't do it.
He
that
do
way.
everything the right way.
It's just not the way I do it. It'll be
He's
fine.
just Rob. I'm gonna do it my way. But oh my God, he was
Yeah.
He said it. It's on-
You heard it here. It's recorded.
It was
Right?
recorded.
Yeah. He was right. Yeah, it goes back. He was right.
I'm not going to say that.
But yeah, that's my thing.
Awesome.
Yeah. So my dad played guitar in local bands, and he always had a guitar sitting around the house, but he had stopped playing. And it was this old Gibson, and it was an RD Custom, which was like the worst idea Gibson ever had. So it's like a third Les Paul, third SG, third Explorer, and like the thing was like, and it was like this, it was like this big. It weighed like 1,000 pounds. The neck was like,
Baseball.
I'm like here, and it was the only Gibson I ever saw that had a maple neck. So that's what I had, and so I started noodling around on it. So I started playing when I was 12, and my dad bought me. It was a Charvel. It was a Strat copy. So I started taking lessons at that point. I actually recorded my first CD when I was 15. Two of my friends. So we used a drum machine, which actually just went up on sale. I threatened Ron with it. I saw the exact drum machine that we used.
Again, I'm
I was
just
like-
the drummer.
It's like Ron, I mean,
Nothing wrong with it.
this doesn't cost
the
any
drummer.
money. Like, I just program this; it won't talk back.
Yeah.
It'll keep time.
Yeah, it'll keep time.
Convince it to use a metronome.
Everything's on time.
Yeah.
That's my time.
I remember going back to the Guitar Hero games, like the loading screens, just like never trust the drummer with the money, and it always like every loading screen was like picking on the drummer.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
like
all
that.
It's true.
Correct, yeah.
like,
Yeah,
like
it's
the girl,
true.
like the band members get all the groupies, and then what's left goes to the drummer.
I mean, every joke has a little bit of truth.
The problem with the drummers, you can't turn them down unless he has an electronic kit.
Thanks, guys.
One of the best things ever was
At least I know I'm here out of necessity.
I used to- we used to have a party band with Fulton, the Kissing Booth, and Danny Koszylski was.
Oh, we're
our
gonna go back to
drummer.
that in a minute.
But when we first started practicing, Danny had an electronic kit, so like he was doing his normal drummer thing while we're trying to talk, and we just be like on the PA, like, "Oop."
God, I wish we could do that.
That's exactly what Steve does to Dave Campbell all the time.
It's on camera, right? You know?
Dave will be talking and like, "Hey, F you guys," and Steve's like, "Oh yeah." Whoop. So Steve does still do that.
It's nice though. The drummer, I don't have to tune, and when the power goes out, I can still piss everyone off. So
Yeah. Oh, you're fucking good at that, right?
As much as we give him shit, Ron is an amazing drummer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
I don't know.
is phenomenal.
I have told him he's the most important part of the band, and as he goes, we go.
Yeah.
So, I started singing just backup in a high school band called Drum Clear, and I started singing when Justin had quit and he couldn't find anybody. Like I said, Peter's looking at me. He's like, "I guess you're singing." So he quit, and we had a show like 2 weeks later. So I had to like learn how to do all that. Like, I had been doing it for a while anyway, but it's the first time live we actually did it.
From Autumn to Ashes, was that the band we played with? Something like that?
Huh?
It was down close to Philly.
No, I'll tell you who we played with. My Autumn Fire.
That- I knew it was something with Autumn.
Danny's brother's band.
Yes.
It was something
Jason
with Autumn.
Joannis. So he was nice enough to put us on that show.
Yeah.
I remember just being super nervous. It's the first time I like had to do that. So
I
we
think
played at
something
Prague
with
the
honor.
next week.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean that's kind of how it went. So when we started writing some of our newer stuff, it just got to the point where I mean I could do it live, play and sing at the same time, but it was just difficult. And I was always jealous of Jaybird because I wanted to be able to go and kind of command a crowd like he could. And I was always jealous of that. So we started writing this new stuff, and I'm like, guys, I just can't. There's gonna have to be a point where we need another guitar.
It started getting way too demanding.
Yeah. So Paul Treppel, who had produced our Into 5-7, our last full length that we put out, I finally bugged him enough that he joined. And Paul's probably the best musician I personally that I've ever met.
Up to the right.
Yeah, as far as guitars go, like this guy was like, not only was he an amazing songwriter, but like on a technical level, like John Petrucci, Dream Theater level. Like,
So Paul went to school for music.
Yeah,
He's a savant.
He's insane.
He's just it's not just music. I mean, Paul knows like everything.
Yeah, he's
about music. I just don't understand.
Yeah.
Like how he can just have that much knowledge. So
Yeah.
we miss him, but he definitely like as far as our band goes, he made everybody better musicians.
Hugely.
So that was a big thing. Like when he I think we waffled so.
Fucking Paul, how do you expect me to play that?
Oh, you'll
on,
play,
man.
oh, you'll play it.
Well, you just
Yeah.
syncopated in 7/8 run. It's not a big deal. Oh, okay.
So I think the big thing with us not playing was not having Paul. I think when we finally came to the realization that we didn't think he was going to come back, that's when we talked to Andy. And when Andy said yes, I called Paul. I'm like, hey, man, and I talked to him before. I've actually talked to Paul more since he's not in the band than I have for like the past like 2.5 years. So he gave us his blessing. He's still he's still going to be involved with us somehow.
So there may be a show where you may have Paul and Andy at the same time.
That'd be cool.
That would
Actually,
be
I hadn't
cool.
even thought of that.
That'd be cool.
Excellent idea. I'll write it down.
Yeah, somebody jot that down. But no, whether it be producing or just like we write something, and because Paul will be able to like, so we'll think something is really good, and Paul will listen and be like, nah, you need to do this. There's a classic moment we were recording. He wasn't in the band yet, and we were doing this. There's a song we had called Lullaby for the Liars, and there's a bridge section, and it was just us playing like power chords. And Paul's like, okay, you're gonna do this thing called a poly chord. You're gonna play this. You're gonna play this, and Fody and I looked at each other, we're like, this is going to sound like absolute shit. Like, what do you mean? We're playing two different things. This is awful. Paul's like, just do it. I was like, you're crazy. And Fody and I played it, we're like, wow, that sounds great. Like, this is amazing. Like, what's a polychord?
Yeah. I don't understand how that worked at all because the two chords sounded so different. Like, you get like harmonies and stuff, you know, a lower one and a higher one, but this was just two chords that had nothing to do with each other, and they sounded like shit on their own. And then you're just playing together, and for some stupid reason, it just worked.
It was amazing.
Well, there's a reason for it.
Yeah,
he knows it. He explained it.
He knows it,
but I don't understand it.
Like he's just like that quick, like boom, like play this, like it will sound amazing. And we're like, fuck you, Paul, you don't know what you're talking about. But then we were wrong.
Yeah,
horribly wrong. Horribly
there's a
wrong.
theme here.
Yeah.
Paul's always right.
Paul's pretty much always right. So that's kind of my story.
Awesome. So when did you pick up the drums? Were you always a drummer?
I was always a drummer. We won't talk about the High School Musical stuff. That's just,
You gotta start somewhere.
we don't want to go down there. I was a horn player in high school. Actually,
Yeah.
I played the mellophone and trombone and all
Why
all
are we
the
bringing
brass.
that out?
All the brass I
Dude,
played.
saxophone's a huge
Don't
thing.
think I knew that either.
I know that. Yeah.
I knew you wrestled. I didn't know you were a trombone player.
Dude, so many bands have saxophones now. We can get the trombone out and do
We
it.
can do like less than
I
Jake
don't
covers.
think I could multitask.
Oh my god, I
Well,
remember you.
I only have
record
4
it.
appendages and they're pretty
you can
busy.
play it.
So, I mean,
you can put it on a pad.
we could.
I mean, the guy
Like Rivers of Nile has all those sax solos. We can get
Hey,
a
I'm in.
trombone
I'm
solo.
in. We can do it. We can do it. So I think I was probably 12 or 13. I started playing along with T102 because I didn't have money for CDs at the time, and that's what was big. So I played along with those, and then my first band was actually a band called My Useless Intention, based out of Prague.
Oh my god,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
It was Shane Flail and
Corey
Albion
McGee and
Alosky.
Albion Alosky. Oh my
Rich,
god.
what was Rich's last name?
Richie Krause.
Richie Krause
Richie
and
Krause.
Joey Rabbits. And we used to do the Rock and Lockin' all the time. Up in the
Oh,
mall.
I remember that.
In the
too.
arcade, we'd shut
Oh.
it down. And then when that disbanded is when I put the ad up in Fulton's, and we talked about all
Remember
that stuff
Memory
earlier.
Lane too? Just thinking about that. Memory Lane at
Yeah.
the front of the mall.
That was
That's
fun to
actually
rock and
where I
walk in.
met Dave Campbell, and I figured this out like years later. He was in a band called Stillborn. And I had gone up and I saw them and I was, you know, I had talked to him and everything. So like, you know, and maybe this was only like 2 or 3 years ago, and we were talking about, I don't know how the subject came up. He's like, yeah, I drummed in that band. I was like, I was like, you know, 16 at the time. That was hilarious.
I remember Dave. I met Dave. God, I was like 19 too. I forget how we met him because Smurf and I were looking for a drummer to jam with, and then it didn't pan out. But then Dave called me the one time, and like we used to play. It was one buddy and me, Header, and someone else, and we had like one show. It was weird, but I've known Dave for like freaking 20 years now. Almost.
Guy's a sweetheart.
He really is. He's a good dude. Yeah, I mean,
All right.
he's fucking nuts, but
He is crazy, but he'll give the shirt off his back.
Oh no, I love Dave. Dave is a really good guy. I'm gonna get.
That looks like Kool-Aid.
I don't think it's cool.
It may or
It's-
may,
yeah,
may
no,
not
it's
taste
kind
like that.
Shade of the evening should be blue. You're
It's
on
the
Grey
pH
Joy?
level of the water. That's why it reacts with the pea flour.
Pete,
That's why.
direction of the
The
Pete.
Warlocks of Karth and Euron Greyjoy are upset. It is good though.
Give him a pour.
Oh,
Yeah, give him, yeah.
He's not a big IPA guy.
That's good.
It is good.
Ron might actually like this one.
No, it is very good. I like that color. It's really cool. It's not blue. See, the Warlords of Karth, they're noted by their lips were stained blue.
Blue lips, yeah.
So same with the Euron Greyjoy from the books. But
It has a really cool Grim Reaper and Abominable Snowman on it.
That's really good. Rotunda hasn't really everything I've had from there has been pretty solid.
Yeah, they're really. We were just talking about. I don't know if you follow on Instagram for your beer guy, Hoppy Fluffy.
No.
Yeah, she's like a really busty, big butt boob, big boob chick, and she actually did the whole thing for Rotunda. Like she had like the Rotunda hoodie on, and like her butt showing, and she's like, check it out.
I totally forgot that you played the trumpet. way
Yeah,
back in the
I
day.
was-
I totally forgot about that.
So
we
you
went
were-
to, we went to
I
high
played
school together.
So
He
you were
was
no
a year
school
older
kid.
than
What's that?
No Skookle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. I totally forgot about
Yeah.
all that too. So it's pretty nice, you know. I'm looking at you. I'm like, I know that guy.
It's
I
the
know that
devilish
cat.
good looks in it.
I know that cat.
Ball by choice.
But yeah, man.
We went into the snare drum from there, and it was just way too boring. I drummed that Metallica. It was all
And
downhill from there.
North Skookle's known for their high school band. I mean, they're always a super talented high school band. Now, we touched a little bit on it before. You brought it up and you reminded me, so I'm going for it. So, Kissing Booth, you guys had a cool Goodfellas moment.
Oh, we opened for Brett Michaels.
Do you want to tell that story?
So we opened for Brett Michaels. So we whipped out all of our 80s songs. And the biggest thing that pissed me off is fucking Fulton forgot my wireless mic at the store. Because my whole goal was to like head walk on all the 40-year-old, like 45-year-old women there for Brett. Like I was gonna go straight hardcore show and just fucking head walk on all of them. But I had the mic I had, the cord was like stuck on something. So I had like about like 10 room to like move. So I'm like, but so after our set, we pull our shit off stage and
I watched the set. It was a very good set.
it was. We were really good.
Yeah, it was a
Those
great
It was a
set.
lot of fun.
Appearance of Bob Tree.
Bob. Oh yeah. So Bob Dudash at the time had just shaved like his head completely, and he looked, and his beard wasn't as epic as it is currently today. But so he really looked like Daughtry. And so like all these like older ladies at the front of the stage were losing their shit because Bob looked like Daughtry, and they tried to pull him off the stage at one point.
You probably loved it.
It was
Guys actually
I
wanted us
didn't
to
know that.
thank
Yeah.
Daughtry for coming to play with us
so
tonight.
fucking funny.
That's great.
And we were calling him Bob Daughtry, I think, for the evening. But the funniest moment was, so we pulled all our shit off stage. So they brought their own production. So like they had all their own PA stuff. So all the Goodfellas PA shit was in the back room, and there was no room to put our gear. So
His couch.
yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it.
That's worse than the rug. I mean,
We're getting
So-
there. We're getting there.
That's part of it. So Fulton was using my Mesa half stack for the shows, and literally just my half stack was sitting against the wall in the back room, and their stage manager comes out flipping his shit about the half stack. And I'm like, dude, where are we gonna put it? There's nowhere to put it. It's just gonna be like Brett needs a room, and Fulton's like, what, to put a bandana on? So they kicked us out. They finally I'm gonna fight this guy. Like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of this fucking stage manager. And like the whole band might just murder you tonight. And no one will miss you. But so we get they finally like, fine, leave it. But ejected us from like the back room. We're like, oh god, we don't get to hang out with Bret Michaels.
Yeah, I don't know.
Little known to him was that, you know, we all had urinated on the couch like the whole evening. So Steve and I kept trying to, once Bret was like getting ready to go on, he was like, they had a security guard standing all like puffed chest out at the door. Me and Steve just kept being dicks trying to sneak in, and we did catch a glimpse of Bret sitting on the piss couch, and I was like, we win.
There's a lot of waste matter in that back room.
Yeah.
So between that, there's a
local band. If you ever play at Goodfellas, do not sit on that couch.
The couch is weird. I was just
Also,
there. The couch is still there. Stay away.
Also,
I'm pretty sure Jaybird jerked off onto it.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure there's some Jaybird still on the wall.
The chair next to
That
the
room would
wall,
glow.
Yeah.
It would actually
Don't take a
glow.
black light.
On the other side, though, across from that, the chair
Was
above
worse.
that, there was actually fecal matter.
Yeah.
And that was a band. Now, supposedly, this is what I've heard. There's a band in their sign called Eve to Adam, and they played there. And I don't know what Galata did to them, but they rubbed shit all over the wall. So then they were banned from playing, right? So they got on a show again at Goodfellas that we were going to play, and they got banned. And that's when I heard the story. So I'm like, I never knew what that substance was. I never really inquired about it. But yeah, so you've got the piss couch and the shit wall.
And it's probably still there.
And jizz everywhere.
Probably,
I'm sure, yeah. So I'm sure it's probably still there. So just don't just avoid bring plastic to like lay
Don't
down.
sit on the furniture.
Just don't go in the back room.
Until they replace the furniture. Don't sit.
Yeah.
Just
And
stand.
now that they're
Rob
trying
Hampton, listen to this, right?
Yeah,
Get
Stand
rid of it.
Just stand and you'll be okay.
Don't burn it. It'll make a noxious cloud that'll take out all poor carbon surrounding
Throw it
everything.
to be
So
like
it'll be
buried
good.
somewhere.
Throw it in the river. Bury it in the pet cemetery.
No, because sometimes
They don't throw it in the river. I saw something go in the river once upon a time.
Something in the river.
Yeah, remember when Smurf?
Oh, when he threw his amp in the river.
Yeah. He had a really
Best
bad,
story.
weak moment and picked his entire rig up off the stage, jumped off the middle, and stormed right out the front doors and hurled his whole amp
Yeah,
right into the river.
I'll get a new
Fuck
one.
it, I'm
And just
done.
toss it in the river.
I love it.
I think that's one of the first times I met Smurf, and somebody said, "Oh yeah, that's Smurf." I'm like,
Yeah, chucked an amp in the river.
Good times.
Now, so we're coming back. You guys are coming back to the Striker show.
Yep.
Now, were you one of the bands back in the day that used to play in the middle of the bowling alley as well?
We did that.
We did that a
Yeah, we did it a
times.
couple
We did
times.
that.
Yeah, one was for Halloween, I think.
we were ass clowns and butt riots with my mom's band. Actually, yeah.
we did that with the kissing booth once too.
Yeah, and then they put everybody in the bar, which is kind of cool, but it just gets really packed.
Yeah, the lanes is cool.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's still weird because the way the
Lane
floor
makes-
is set up, it's
It's a lot of room, but it's not nearly as
it's
intimate
Not,
as
as you think.
Yeah.
Of
Now
a small
here's a
bar.
question for you. Now I love going to Goodfellas shows because I love that more people can go in there and enjoy themselves. But I always have a soft spot for like the roundhouses and the strikers.
Those are just fun
because
to
you're
do
right
shows.
with
Yeah.
the band. Like if you're right up front, you have a good time, especially if you're buddies with the band and like
Yeah.
you
Oh
know,
yeah,
like so to me that connection in a bar where you can just be right there with the crowd is fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we went to see Randy at Face Got a Driver, he was just like F this, and he just walked off the stage with his microphone and just like hung out with us. Like it was so I do like the stage aspect. Is there a preference that you guys have?
I have to look at four asses in front of me all the time.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere. Yeah, you're not going anywhere.
it depends on the crowd really, and
Yeah.
like
Depends on the show, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it depends on the show and the crowd. Like my biggest gripe about Goodfellas is the stage. Like I think it can come down by like a good 2 feet.
It's a very high stage.
Yeah. So like it's hard to get some crowd
I always get nervous when
interaction.
people go to the edge of the stage and like sing off it. I'm like, someone's gonna fall.
I have.
Playing.
I
I
have.
fell off it.
Oh shit!
You take the whole fucking beer out.
The resident beer snob has now been the resident beer hog.
That would just be talking and not paying attention. Yeah, sorry, that's just me talking. And not paying attention.
secret stash out. We're not going to give it to him.
Yeah, no burley oak for you.
You goof. Sorry, that was just me. My brain and not working. I was
I
like,
don't
oh,
even know if
wait.
there's beer with my head.
Los Santo.
There is
So I
no-
think it's funny that like if you're not used to playing on big stages, like
you got some of this, right?
yeah, I just drank a little bit.
That's
So when
A-okay.
you're not
eating.
when you're not used to playing on a big stage, like and you get up there for the first time, that can be really intimidating. Like I remember when we played a festival in Boston,
Yep.
and
Yeah,
Like Allison Chains was
my
the
first
headliner.
fucking show.
Yeah.
I was scared shitless.
So was Ray.
shitless.
so we get up there and it's like this gigantic stage. I'm just like I'm looking out at the crowd, like I don't know what to do. Like I'm used to like everything kind of being closed.
See the tops of heads for 100 yards in front of you. It's pretty intimidating.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it one
Can you
bit.
skim rocks there too?
You
Like
get
see a
nervous
bunch of
when
heads
you-
I mean, I'm sure you
Huh?
could.
You get nervous.
Yeah,
No, it was that show.
That show was the first. It was
That
probably
was-
the first big show we had.
That was like my first big show I had with Faith, and it was like, oh hey, we're playing this festival up here. I'm like, all right, that's cool. Oh yeah, Allison Chains is the headliner. There's gonna be like 20,000 people when we play. Not that many, but there's 2,000. I think,
Yeah, man,
when
that's
we
good.
went. And I was like, okay, everybody's gonna just see me fuck this up. But I think I did all right.
No, you did fine, man, you did.
Considering,
Well, I think a
but
lot of
it was still just very.
For
very
me, what
intimidating.
intimidated me more, besides the crowd and the people, but we had to use all of the house stuff we weren't used
Yeah.
to using that.
Yeah.
I played in this random old ass Yamaha kit that was ready to fall apart. It was held.
Is that one of the bigger shows you guys ever played?
Yeah,
one of,
probably the biggest show. We played Mayhem Festival 2 years in a row. It's the montage for Sumerian Records. So those were probably the two biggest shows that we had, just because it was Sumerian and we were playing on their stage. Sandy kicks the
I'm kicking Ron.
kicking Ron.
Try again.
So those are probably, from my opinion, those were probably the biggest shows we played, just because it was kind of like, for me, that was almost like the pinnacle. Like, I don't want to say this, like the, I guess pinnacle is the right word. Kind of like, okay, this is what we've been doing for the past 8-9 years, and like, and actually like, not that it didn't mean something before, but it was almost like, oh hey, we
Yeah,
kind of
culminated
like-
there,
Here's some proof that we're doing something right, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Real quick, just to go back. So the last one we did, the bluish greenish beer, was the Shade of the Evening. This was the Abomination and Rotunda collaboration. Very, very tasty beer. And now we're on the Enter Night, which is the Metallica Pilsner, which is a collaboration with Metallica. So
It's still brewing.
yeah, it's a good beer. I mean, it's
Pilsner.
It's a Pilsner.
It's now my favorite beer on the table. It doesn't bite me
It's
as hard.
solid.
It's
It's
even
not
better than
bad.
this is more of
No, I
a
don't think he's gonna go that far.
this is more of a Pilsner, so it's more like what you would get from like a
I'm
Miller
just a
Lite.
You know what the funny thing is, like lately I've been liking Pilsners more, like especially like dry hop ones. Like Trogs has been killing it. They're like dry hop like scratches that are Pilsners or
Yes.
like hells
I'm a big fan of Trogs. I
are
do like Trogs.
phenomenal.
Have any of you
My
guys
only
gone
gripe
to
about
the,
Trogs,
have any of you gone to the Battlefield Brewery?
yes, and the Gettysburg.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've wanted
the
to
place-
go there. I don't know if they have anything good.
I never been there.
the place is awesome. Last time I was there, the beers were the place, like the actual brewery used to be a Confederate field hospital during the battle, so there's
Yeah.
like bloodstained like floorboards and shit.
Really?
Yeah, it's cool.
Crazy.
It's
It's
awesome.
supposed to be like ridiculously haunted and stuff too, but it's a really cool building.
And it's huge for as a venue too.
Yeah, they have
music in
oh,
there
wow,
all the
it's
time.
insane.
Bloodstained floorboards. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Dude, it was literally a
Not
Confederate.
awesome, but it's
yeah.
kind of
Oh, yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, it was. It's pretty metal.
It's history. I mean, it's history at that point.
Sorry about your life, but that's badass.
Yeah, it was a Confederate field hospital during the
It's the
battle.
Confederate stuff.
So
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Fuck them, right?
Am I right?
but
I'm in an interracial marriage. Fuck them.
The beers are all right. You know what actually stands out though? Their spirits are actually really good. Like they have a rye
Like
whiskey.
the ghosts.
But yes,
Ooh, smoky ghost.
their rye whiskey is actually really good.
Nice.
Oh damn.
But their gin's pretty decent too.
So my first experience with Trogs, every time we tell this story, my dad just shakes his head. So my dad's like big in the firehouse. So everywhere we go in School County or Pennsylvania or in the East Coast, someone somehow knows him through firehouse or insurance. So we're at a Hershey Bears game, and my dad gets a call, and he turns around, he looks up, and he goes, "Oh hey," and he waves, and he's like, "Yo." Now my brother and his friend are with him, and we're like, "You guys just hang out here. We'll be back. We have to go talk to somebody." He goes, "You're coming with me." And I go, "Why?" He goes, "We're going to VIP box. I can't bring them. They're not 21, and we're gonna go drink for free." And I was like, "Fuck it, let's go." So we walk up, and they have a fridge, and I'm going through the fridge, and I see Trogs, a bunch of Trogs, and Yingling, and I was like, "All right, I'll just grab Yingling because I know it." So I grabbed the lager, I'm drinking it, and my dad's standing in the right in the front of the VIP box, and he's talking to a guy in the VIP box next to us in a suit and tie, white hair, the whole nine, like older gentleman, and he's drinking a blueberry trogs at the time. And I walk up, and he's like, and the guy looks at me and goes, "Oh, you're enjoying a Yingling?" I said, "Yeah, hometown beer. I'm just, And he goes, "Why don't you try your dad's beer?" And I looked at him like, blueberry beer. Now at the time when I drank like the domestics, and then if I did the shot, I was like, just give me like Jack. Listen, like, don't give me like a buttery nipple or a peach mango shot. Like, I
What do
don't
you have
want.
against buttery nipples?
Yeah, because I was like freshly turned 21. I was like, fuck that. I'm not drinking fruity beers. Like, you know what I mean? So I taste this blueberry beer, and I'm not into the craft scene at all at this point. And this is years and years ago. And I'm like, oh, it's fucking gross. And my dad just turns white. And the guy goes, "What don't you like about it?" I'm like, "It tastes like fucking shit." And he goes, "Hi, I'm such and such. I'm the VIP I'm the executive director of Trugs." And I went, "Your beer needs work." And walked away. And my dad came up to me later, like, he goes, because I was already kind of half in the bag because we were drinking the whole time there, and he's like, "You're a fucking dick." Hey. He goes, "This is why I don't bring you anywhere." He goes, and now I do a beer show, but
but maybe after that they started making better beer.
That was the turning point for Trogs. Thank Tony Black.
One guy. It took one guy.
Yeah.
One guy.
But
All it takes one.
from then on, I mean, everything that Trogs has made, I've been a fan of. Even like when people didn't like the Crimson, I liked it.
Crimson Pistol's all right.
Yeah, I
my
enjoyed it.
problem with Trogs sometimes is that consistency. Like Nugget Nectar the past 2 years was like, eh.
Yeah.
But like this year was on. I thought it was really good. And the year, like 2 years prior, was really good. But the last I felt like was like lacking something.
Yeah, what was the other one from Trogs that we had? That was, not the
Are you looking at the bourbon barrel aged?
that was really good. That was really good. The bourbon.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
That was ridiculous.
All right, here's my problem with those is that they charge too much for a 12.4-ounce bottle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Cork
I
and
understand.
cage.
The Wicked Elf or like.
yeah,
Mad
like
Elf,
the Naked Elf,
I have
the
Naked
Bourbon
Elf.
Barrel Troganator, the Freaky Peach, any of those Splinter
Perpetual.
series.
That's what I was gonna say. The Perpetual. I really like Perpetual.
Yeah, any of those Splinter series, like they're charging like they're like $13 a bottle.
Cork and cage.
Yeah, and like when they put them out, they're on the shelves for like months.
Yeah.
Like it's not like these are gone in an instant. If they were gone in an instant, I'd be like, yo, sell them for that much. People are buying them. But like when that one release is still sitting on the shelf, like 6 months later, it's like, hey,
They got me at Woody's one night. I was there seeing the boys, and they're like, "What do you have?" And I look, and I'm like, "Oh, what's the Mad Elf?" And I didn't see the bottle, and it was the Cork Twisted Elf or whatever, the aged one. And they're like, "All right, no problem." They get it, pop the cut, and they hand it to me. And they're like, "That'll be $12.50." And I was like, "What?"
Excuse me?
Is that in pesos?
Yeah.
I'm talking yen, right?
Yeah, and I drank it, and they're like, "What do you want next?" I'm like, "Keystone, thank you."
Yeah, that's my only gripe. Like,
Yeah.
I understand the work and stuff that goes into it, but if they're just sitting on the shelf, I mean, lower the price a little bit.
I'll tell you one that's a complete ripoff. A 4-pack, I think it was either 4 or 8 ounces. Interborough came out with an Ambassador bourbon barrel aged stout, and it was like $30 for like 8-ounce cans. I mean, they were like literal pony cans.
Oh my god!
It was ridiculous. Like when you saw the can, you're like, what the like how small the cans were.
There's no
Like,
reason anything.
what am I drinking here? I'm like, am I drinking liquid gold or what?
It's like those is it Hudson Valley? It's not the brewery. There's a distillery. It's like these like tiny little like 350 milliliter bourbons and stuff that are like $50 a bottle. And it's like I would take.
Maybe
I'm
Hill
like,
Farmstead?
No, I forget what I think it's Hudson something, but like I love bourbon, I love Scotch, and I'll gladly pay like $60+ for a single malt or something. But I'm like, I will take any one of these like comparable bottles. Like I'll take a bottle of Bullet over these Hudson ones.
Yeah.
And I'm like, seriously, like sub $30? No thanks.
So we're on our last one here, the Fool's Gold. This is Andy's throwaway beer.
It's not a throwaway. It's just been in it for a while. It's actually a very good beer from
Yeah.
our Rusty Rail.
And real quick in the chat, Look Alive is watching. The band Look Alive.
All right.
What's going on, guys?
They're
guys.
they're excited to be part of the show, and
I guess we should probably talk about the show.
Yeah. So yeah.
Probably.
So,
So-
we're kind of getting cut off. Like, so we were saying about like where are the weirdest places to play. Like I said, Goodfellas, like the stage, I feel like it's a little too high, but we can't really do anything about that. But I think the weirdest thing to me.
See, when you told me
This is a peanut butter Hefeweizen.
like, you told me the peanut butter, I thought it would be a darker porter.
No.
Not at all. It's,
I was kind of excited. to
Try
see a
coffee
porter.
lager.
I'm let down again.
Wow.
So, you don't like coffee? So.
yeah.
Kind of like
I should've
talking
brought that.
about.
Smell this.
I still have a half a six
So
pack.
the
of
show,
Imperial
you're saying.
pumpkin. I should have brought it for us.
The weirdest thing since like playing again, like I mean, prior, like I was in his Each Day Dies. We were metalcore back in the early 2000s. Then we had Among Thy Saints when Faith and Exile started. We literally started Among Thy Saints at the same time, and we were like the straight, like more As I Lay Dying type metalcore type stuff. And it was a completely different scene then we did the party scene for a while. We did Alt 90. Then since we've been playing with the Hands Resist, and now back with Faith, it's the weirdest thing is no one washes anymore.
Yeah, it's strange. Well, it's always kind of weird around
Yeah,
here.
it depends on where it's
really
at.
hit or miss.
Like you can't really.
Yeah.
I can see why people don't mosh in a bar because they're just gonna get thrown out.
The last time I seen moshing was at Hucklebucks. It was a punk rock like ska night, and
Oh yeah.
and Heidi was like, it's the first time she's ever experienced this. So this guy was jumping, and she was just like, "Oh," and I was like, "Just push him." She goes, "What?" I'm like, "Just push him."
Yeah.
She pushed him, and then he came back, and she pushed him again. She goes, "This is awesome."
I remember. I think the way Zach, so a buddy of mine, Zach Campbell, played for Among Thy Saints. And I think the way I met him was when we had his Each Day Dies, we used to play Black Label by Lamb of God. And at the Roller Roost, we'd have like 500 people there, and I would do a wall of death. And Zach broke his collarbone in our wall of death and like came up and thanked me about it. But like now it's like I'm standing, I'm like going crazy, and I'm like, no one's doing anything. This is weird.
Except for Roundhouse, the last
Roundhouse,
one with
yeah.
the hands that was pretty
There was a few guys bouncing around.
Next 2 weeks we'll fix it. We'll get.
But it's just weird, like to like, but like even not just our local shows. So I went to see, me and Heather went to see Children of Bodom and Wolfheart down in Reading last week, and no one really moshed. It was weird until like the bands were like, "Yo, show us something."
Yeah.
Like everyone's just kind of standing around, and I'm
There's
like,
a couple shows I've
I'm a
been
little
to.
afraid.
It's been the same thing. It's like-
So when I come to the show, I'm going to hide in the back with my bad joints. I can't be in any moshes, so I'll just be like, "I love you guys."
So I have a funny
That's
story about moshing, and so
That's
we
not
were
bad.
playing this
I
place
do.
in
It's not bad.
Trenton. I don't remember what the place was called.
Dingbat.
Champ.
Not
No,
Dingbat.
Oh,
it's,
Champ.
Champ.
The
Yeah.
Champ. Okay. So
I know
So-
what story is this.
so we're playing, and there were kids hardcore dancing, which never happens with Faith and Exile. This was like the coolest thing I've
Oh,
ever
yeah.
seen, right? And the sound system was awful. We didn't have monitors. It was
man.
muddy. And I said, like, "Oh man, this is awesome. We never have people hardcore dancing for our songs."
Single hands.
And everybody walked out.
Yeah, everybody stopped.
Everybody stopped and walked out of the room. I'm like, "What just happened?" All right, whatever.
Wasn't there something to?
We finished up the set. I walked off, and one of our friends, I think it was Harmon, he's like, "Why did you say something about Nazis and Hitler?" And I'm like, "What?" I said, "No, hardcore dancing." They're like, "No, it's not the way it sounded." I'm like, "Oh my god." I was like, "Well, we're never playing here again." Like,
we love Hitler.
I'm like, I
See you
said
later.
something about hardcore, and the way I
power.
I'm like, I have no idea.
Instant shutdown. The room
Yeah.
emptied. I'm like,
It was strange. It was weird.
Because I thought you said something about Hitler.
Yeah, everybody just like filed out. I'm like, what did I say? Like,
we were playing knife. It was something. This is about. This is awesome. This is for all the hardcore kids or something like that. Exit stage right. What happened?
I'll never understand what they thought I said.
We did end up playing there again, though, for that.
This is,
Lazarus,
this is-
yeah.
this is
Back
why
to
your
the
sound
process.
checks are important.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is that with
Sound
those
checks
types
Guys, if you don't
All the
sound check,
time.
you
Sound
may
checks
turn into
fail
a
all
white
the
powder.
time.
with those types of shows, you don't get a sound check. It's
Yeah,
just like,
no.
oh, okay, here, there's Mike's.
Just do your thing.
go play.
Good luck. We'll
So-
take care of it as we go.
I played enough of those places to not even like. I don't need a monitor. I don't need to hear anybody.
Yes.
I don't need to hear myself. I don't even care.
Yeah, that's
I-
Visual
Like-
cues.
Yeah,
Visual
it's just-
cues.
that's kind of like
Rob
where,
Allison's one behind the back. Let me know where I'm
So looking
going.
live says shout out to Aaron Charles, R.I.P.
Oh yeah, Zach Campbell,
Yeah,
Zach
and then
Campbell, Jimmy Murphy.
Tombstone Jones says there was
That's
a very
the Ford.
small pit last week at Trippin' 2 Saturdays ago. I guess they had the middle night, and they said make moshing great again.
We'll try, man.
Come out the
Show.
27th.
So yeah, the show. So it's this Saturday. It's April 27th at Strikers. Starts at 10. It's $5 cover, 21 and over. It's Gargons, which is Mekis'
Yep,
bench.
Josh Mekis and his
our
brother.
bass-
It's
our
his new
bass
product.
player
It's his,
from
Oh, wow.
and
Exile.
his
Him and
brother.
his brother.
Yep, they're
The
doing
Mex-
it.
I love the Mex. I grew up playing soccer with the Mexes.
I
How did you
Yes.
describe it? It's like a heavy
Yeah.
rock.
They were
never pegged it.
something.
So both Mexises were phenomenal soccer players.
I would have never.
So
pegged
it was the Mexises, and it was like 4 or 5 other kids from Shenandoah. And the way soccer works in Shenandoah Monte area is you play until a certain age, and there's nowhere to play soccer.
Huh.
So the Mexises, a kid named Corey
it's like the
Kaplaka,
rest of America.
and a few other kids all joined the Shenandoah football team. And because they had the endurance and knew how to take angles, and they fought. Like, I know a lot of people shit on soccer, but like if you can transition from, like, I always tell people, if you want to be a really good football player, start with soccer first. Like, put your kid in soccer till his body develops and he gets, because when they put kids in pads at like 8 years old, I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. Like, they run around, their heads are fucking yeah. Play soccer for like till at least 15, 16, then jump to football. I made an awesome second cornerback because I took angles that nobody took because I knew how to get to a ball because in soccer you're taught to run less because you're going to run like crazy. So you have to take an angle or understand where the ball's going to go before it goes. Kind of like hockey. So when the Mekises were phenomenal soccer players, and they transitioned over to football, and their football program in Shenandoah dominated like that generation because of it. But yeah, they're super talented athletes when they were growing up.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
So
I never pegged them for soccer. I knew they were awesome with football.
Yeah.
So we
Mention
have
football for me with them.
Look Alive. So funny story about that. So I got a message from Brett. He's like, "Hey, I saw you guys were getting back together."
Very
And this was before we'd
Very
already
ironic.
kind of talked about them opening because that
For Look
they
Alive.
came recommendations. Yeah, recommendations from some other
Brett
people.
is a good kid.
Yep. So he messages us on the Faith in Exile Facebook, and he's like, "Hey, I used to like listen to you guys when I was in high school or middle school, something like that." I'm just like, I feel so old. Wow.
He talked a little bit about his interview about like his work ethic, and like he said like, hey, like they wouldn't offer us shows at Roller Roast anymore. I would walk in and say, hey, if I can get people in here, can our band play? So he has a very strong work ethic.
Yeah, I
mean,
watched their
you need that.
interview,
and it
that's
shows
great.
because he's in 2 different bands. Like, he's a super talented kid, and when he's on stage, he performs. He's,
Yep.
he's like,
He's
so
one of the best bass players I've seen in a long
I
time.
agree. I 100% agree.
No, when we played with Look Alive, Matt Montagu at the Roundhouse back in February.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, he's fucking all over the place.
He looked like
awesome.
Scott Pilgrim. I told him he looked like Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
The funny thing too is John and Kevin. I pushed all my Walmart out of my brain, and I apparently did their orientations at Walmart.
Really?
At Walmart distribution in Boswell.
2 very
And I
good
was
bands.
HR there.
Yeah.
2 very
So
good.
Look Alive is really, really good. They had a cover of a song called Sad, and I embarrassed myself a little bit because I had no idea it was a cover. And I was like, hey man, when did you guys record this?
It's actually a cover of a rap song.
Yes, I found that out after I embarrassed myself because I'm 30 years old and don't know. I don't know what all the young kids are.
We're not these days.
It was the rapper
young
who got in
whippersnappers.
a lot of trouble for beating up his girlfriend, and then he went to go buy like a motorcycle, and people seen him with all this money in a duffel bag, and he was shot and killed.
Oh.
That XX10.
Oh, that
Yeah.
station.
So they actually
Rest
covered
in
that
peace.
song.
Yep.
That sounds
Anyway,
awesome.
so they did a really good job on that song, but their originals are very good.
No,
Yes.
they're phenomenal. When I listened to them, I was like, these guys are awesome.
Yeah.
And then when I went to see when we were at Goodfellas, it was the first time I finally got to see them live, and they're phenomenal.
Even with the sound.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
they still
Yeah,
sounded great.
I saw him in Coal Mine Tap Room.
Yeah.
And you know how that place is.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fucking
It's a
basement.
cave.
Yeah.
And they were,
spot.
yeah.
There's nothing wrong with
well,
Prague
practice
basements. We live in basements,
Yeah.
man. Come on.
And man, they were killer. Like the tones were right on, vocals
Yeah.
were great. Like fucking, it was all tight.
And they
all
seem to
good.
know, and this is a huge thing, especially for young bands. They seem to know how to kind of self-promote themselves.
Yeah.
They did the video with the
Puppet
thing with the
Yeah.
puppet. Right, yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, that was great. Like, I
And
mean,
Kevin can shred.
That's awesome.
yeah,
He is
young bands just
phenomenal.
you don't see them doing stuff like that.
They do one of the coolest marketing things for merchandise I've ever seen. So they have, I don't know if it's where it's at, but they have a bag, like a grocery Walmart bag, and they have their logo of their eyes on the bag, and you pay $30 and you get the t-shirt size you want, and you get the bag, you get a beer, like a beer koozie, and then they fill it with stickers and pins. and you get
Look live, we're stealing that.
Yeah, we're totally stealing that. We don't care.
We got it.
It's all right. Yeah,
so
Also, we came up with it. No.
so you
Age
literally,
before beauty.
you literally get a bag for the band.
Like a goodie
Then
bag.
you're getting a T-shirt and a whole bunch of other cool
That's
merch.
badass.
Yeah, we will have
Badass.
new merch.
Yeah,
for
we
the
will have
show.
some
merch. Oh,
We have a new T-shirt coming out. We actually have a new CD. So it's two they're actual CDs, like physical, like silver things that you pop in a player.
Yeah.
Things
You
slides
may
out,
or may
you
not
put
be
it
able
in.
to use
Are you
it.
guys,
Slide it in
are
and
you
push
guys going to
play.
be on streaming services like Spotify and like that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what ended up happening with that is Paul, our guitarist, actually has the masters of those with the WAV file. So in order to get on like Spotify, iTunes, they need the WAV file, not the MP3. So I'm waiting for him to get the WAV file because everything honestly is already there we go through CD Baby, which I've been using since 2006. So once I get the WAV file, that'll be up on Spotify. But yeah, so the CD has Control Delete, Dabble, and Dark Arts, and 3 songs from our last full length.
Yeah, the whole last full length is on Spotify, but Dabble and Control Delete are on SoundCloud if anyone wants to listen to them.
And
We've posted
they're
the
free
links to them.
downloads too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're free downloads. We have them. I've been posting them. We've all been posting them on the Facebook, sharing them
Yeah.
out. So.
Tag me in that. We'll share that as well.
Awesome.
Awesome, thank you.
But yeah, this show is huge. Like I was just looking at the attendance right now. So like historically, like usually you'll get your going kind of doubles. So we're at 74 going for strikers.
That's already a packed room.
Those are rookie numbers. Got to pump those
Yeah,
numbers
yeah,
up.
pump those numbers.
Pump those numbers up.
And we have 142 interested. So there's a very good chance that no one's gonna be able to move at strikers.
I will say, as far as strikers goes, and Charlie was there for the release of In Defiance of Suffering, or he knows of it and knows how it went. So strikers will be putting up extra bottle
There'll be drink
bottle
stations
bars
stuff,
and
yeah.
drink stations and stuff spread around, so
Also-
people can
also
get
thank
stuff.
You,
and
thank you, Chuck, for
Yeah,
actually
thank you.
trying to
Yeah.
bring
yeah,
strikers
thank
back.
you
And
very
bring
much.
One of the few
Right.
people around here like that
Yeah.
recognize this stuff and want to people push stuff up. Chuck is a great guy.
he's gonna take care of it. Don't be
Yeah.
bashful about going there. You will
Which-
get
no,
taken care
strike-
of.
I actually heard something else Strikers is possibly looking at doing in the summer. Is
Outside?
that one parking lot, using that as an outdoor area, which would be awesome.
We did that one year, didn't we?
Yeah,
Mm.
That is great when it doesn't rain.
Yeah.
That's the only
But
negative,
it's-
but no,
It always rains.
and he's old and sweet now. He'll melt.
we've done it in the past and it was awesome. And
Yeah.
so hopefully, like we can get that going with some. good weather.
And you're playing with two up and coming bands that are people
Yeah.
are excited to
Yeah.
see too. So it's a,
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Super
to hear what Nick has
stoked
put
to
together with
that's the big thing too. I was telling Rob, Rob was telling me, he goes, I try to go and see as many bands as I can, like the upcoming bands. And Rob's like, the biggest thing is I try to put bands together for Goodfellas, and I just don't know who to put together.
Yeah.
And that's makes it like,
You know what the thing though, that like back in the day, like when we were coming up, so it would be like us, like Pale Harvest, when Pale Harvest still band,
Yeah.
Kiss the Sky, Terry Miller, Dan Pudge, and
among
all
the
those
heroes.
guys. Among the heroes, like it wouldn't
Bad
matter.
Trip.
It would never matter like what genres you were. It's
Yeah.
just you guys were all friends playing and you
Yeah.
supported each other.
Yeah.
Like
Bad Trip.
Bad Trip.
what happens
yeah.
now is like a
Those guys are
crowd,
good.
like if it's like,
It was a bad trip with the kissing booth. I mean,
Yeah.
they're doing like Kill Switch Engage and Atreyu, and then we're doing fucking Lady Gaga. So,
Yeah. Like it was just fun. Everybody just came
Yeah.
out because they enjoyed seeing live music.
yeah, that I wish that would be the case, but it seems like a lot of times now people come to see the band they came to see and they dip.
that's one thing that does suck, and a lot of times you'll have that. Like they bring their friends and they don't hang out.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it
stays-
is. I mean, you'll always have that. That's
Yeah.
been forever. Like you'll have
Every
that.
band I've seen that had that happen where their crowd kind of leaves, the band stay.
Yeah,
Every
but
yeah.
if you
single
can
time.
get
Oh, yeah.
if you can get at least like a few people interested that came out to see it's great.
Yeah, and I think
fun.
that's also back to like the generation thing we were talking
Yep.
about before.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the, a lot of the kids who are going back to that more traditional sense of things are having more respect and staying for
Yeah.
the entire show.
I'll tell you, like the
Energy's a lot of it
Because
too.
I've noticed that I'm just going to shows to check out friends'
Yeah.
bands. Like,
Yeah.
you
People
know,
are starting
if,
to stick
if
around
a
again.
buddy's bands is opening for 2 or 3 other bands,
Yeah.
a lot, not all, but a lot of the people
You're starting
are
to stick around
starting
again.
to stick around.
yeah.
But
Stick
it comes
out
down
on
to
the
the
show.
bill too. If you put together the right bill and keep the right energy
Yeah.
moving, everyone's gonna
Mhm.
stick around because they're just sucked in. It's
Yeah,
a rock.
what
It's
I
a
like-
rock show.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And what I like to see is like, I know what my friend's band sounds like. I don't fucking give a shit what they sound like.
I don't give a shit what you.
But
sound
I'm hoping that like the bands they're playing with, and maybe I'll, I like these guys.
Yeah. So
Like I'm
the,
obviously like my friend's
the
band.
Goodfellas show, they started with Churches and Trains. The people who were up front of the stage the entire time was like the lookalike Montongo, and the people who were playing later on that night, hanging out, enjoying and then it brought more people to the front of the stage. Like, oh, we're here to see them. They're having a good time. Then people kind of seen those, and they stuck around till the end. And then once the main act came on, and it was kind of like, Andy was he was out of there.
I won't trash him on your thing. But.
Yeah, we kind of not trashed him.
I know that.
We didn't trash them, but we expressed what we thought wasn't good. We covered that.
They're another local band that acted like rock stars.
Well, they were. We also got played like right after them, like very 97.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they were like right near.
Very talented.
Was that the national that just or semi-national?
No, not even national.
They are super talented. They have a good gimmick, a good sound. I would say.
I'm not gonna mention them, but it's a little derivative.
Yeah,
like, I mean, it's just not original.
Like I was talking to Montango, and I'm like, oh, a band from Scranton's playing Breaking Benjamin. Big surprise.
Also, we will never, ever eat your pizza.
No, we will not.
But that goes both ways. You don't eat ours either.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this Saturday.
Yep.
Starts at 10.
Yep.
Three amazing lineups. Go out and see them. What's the cover?
$5.
$5.
But like, so that
Charlie's
we
got drinks
that
specials
we
as
know
well,
we know
thanks.
that's going to be a shit show. I mean, it's the first show back at Faith in Exile in what 3.5 years.
I'm probably gonna die.
It is going to go insane. That place is going to be absolutely jammed.
So when we announced a while back on the podcast page that we're going to be doing this show, we went to go see Japan 4. And I was talking to somebody, and they were talking like, "Oh, I can't wait for you guys to have Faith in Exile on the show." And then the guitarist or bass player from Japan 4 was like, "Wait, what? And Faith in Exile is coming back?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Don't fuck with me right now." They're like it's a popular thing. Like people are excited for you guys to be doing your thing again. So it's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound cliche or anything weird, but like it's just very humbling to see the reaction that we're getting.
I was gonna say,
coming
so
back.
when Ron says that means it's gonna be cliched and weird.
I was waiting for it. I mean, yeah, I was trying to cover myself.
Like,
No, it's super humbling. It's super
I
cool to
agree.
see the reaction that we're getting coming back.
Like,
It's awesome.
We've been
It's awesome.
friends for a long, long time, and when they asked me to join, I was like, "Fuck, I don't know if I can play that shit, but yeah, I want to do it." And then
Anything I feel, I learn all fucking.
yeah, so I got to learn Tony's parts, and I'm really bad at them, but it sounded okay.
I had to learn fucking.
But
John
Tony,
Petrucci.
but either it's made me a better guitar player, and like I'm not used to playing on a 7-string. Like I bought one to dick around with, and I'm like, oh shit, I got to use it now.
You got to use all the strings.
No, I
too,
gotta use it. It's not like it's
just
like
the one.
corn where I use like one of them.
Andy's vocals are a different kind of dimension that we've not had
Very cool
like,
dimensions.
with him being able to sing.
He's a very good singer.
And yeah, definitely. And with us playing alt 90, like it was kind of natural for us with harmonies.
Yeah.
Like, so that like that adds a whole nother dimension.
Yeah, we
of
used
music.
to- that worked out
So,
well.
remember
Wow.
when
So
like
right off the bat.
Fate was dare to say Fate 2.0?
Just a continuation.
Yeah.
But
Ever evolving.
like I have a bad habit of saying, "Hey, you guys." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm in the band."
Yeah, you're in the band.
Yeah. You're like
Yeah.
the movie Rockstar. You're like, I love these guys, and now I'm part of them.
But the show, like
I'll just suck it as.
we kind of the
Well
set
played,
list
sir.
is looking
Well
like
played.
the celebration of what Faith has done up to this point. We have a few Easter eggs and stuff, and
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
the next one though, like the Goodfellas show, like that is really important as well because it's the first original metal show at Goodfellas.
Yeah.
So I really hope we can get a great turnout for that. So if we can, because like if you look online, like just like the YouTubers and stuff that are big in music, like 90% of them are metal. Like kids, like there's metal is out there, and like if, like the average bar patron doesn't want to go hear like Gojira at the bar.
I do.
I do. We're not the
I
average
do.
bar patron. But like the more we experiment with the heavy music, like there was a heavy music scene here, and now we want to try to bring it back.
Yeah.
It's become more accessible though. Like we were on, it was a local show, but we were 97.9 X last night. Control Delete got played. That is a heavy as shit
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
And we got played after Hailstorm.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's
Was-
becoming
was it-
more
What a lazy
accessible.
EC.
Wasn't Hailstorm's lead singer
They're from their
Yeah.
local.
Yeah.
local,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lizzie
Faith
Hales
in
from
Exile was gonna punch you in the
York.
teeth now.
York.
I think they're from York.
York?
Lizzie and RJ.
Yeah.
But the thing too is going back. Obviously, come to the Striker show because that's super important. See these guys in the awesome bands. But like how you're saying, the Goodfellas, like there's without talking about it, but the Goodfellas is an uphill climb.
Yeah.
For sure.
And the more we can show as like the bands are putting their work in. Like every band that you see on that headlining and that's playing at that venue, they're working their ass off to put
That,
something.
yeah.
And the more heads we put into that venue, I promise you, it's gonna change things.
Yeah,
for that
that's kind of the like Rob Hampton is doing a really great thing down there. Now that he's in control of booking and stuff, like Rob's been around Pop-Tart Monkeys.
Well, here's the thing,
gas station.
Rob is doing very well with that, but he also had guys like Terry James and his girlfriend, and a few people were in there cleaning up and trying to fix stuff up, moving stuff around, trying to make it a thing. And Mike Danger was in there helping out and trying to do some stuff. So there was a team of people in there trying to do that. We do have a group Saturday, this Sunday, the 28th, all going in there. Obviously you're not being paid. It's all volunteer time. But if you're a local band or you want to play there someday, or you want to kind of get your name out there, or even just come and sit down, because after we all kind of do our thing and help out and help whatever needs to be done, Rob wants to sit down with all the bands and say, here, what do we need to do? What was wrong with this place? What do we have to fix? And he really wants that brainstorming, because he's very open to hearing what you have to say.
Rob's taking it really in the right direction. I hope that.
And he's doing it while he's in a band touring.
So the biggest problem, and I hate the stupid cover band versus I don't care if you're playing a band. If you're playing an instrument, who fucking cares?
Some people that do covers, they're trying to pay studio time with their covers to their originals.
But not having fun playing music. That's all that matters. People play. I won't say blanket that I'll go see a band versus a DJ, because some bands you shouldn't play live.
Inside voice, Andy.
I don't have one. My wife will tell you that. I'm just a loud person. But bands need to support each other, and regardless if you're a cover band, full band, I will go see any band before I see a DJ with a Spotify account and a pair of speakers. That is one thing that drives me absolutely nuts, is that, and that's what's killing the scene everywhere, is that bars don't want to pay anybody because they have some asshole with a laptop that thinks they're a DJ and a Spotify account. I can set my phone up to a fucking speaker too and be like, oh, I'm a DJ, give me $100 and free beer. And it's like, so bars are getting used to that. People come as background music, maybe get one or two people dancing. And nothing's going on. And so it's like, oh, I'm a DJ. I'm DJ Butthole, whatever. But I would rather go see a local band and pay some covers, because 9 times out of 10, most bands, whether the original or cover, they're decent. They're very rarely that are some fucking terrible. I've seen some terrible ones. I mean, they're out there.
Some of those terrible bands, they will be terrible, and maybe the next time you see them, they might not be that great.
Exactly. But they're going out and doing it.
They are going up on stage. They're giving it their all, and they're getting their work. Dave, I'm a huge David Grohl fan. He said it best. This whole idea of The Voice and these music competitions, yes, there is people who paid their dues and try to go on it, but it's setting a false pretense that you have to be amazing right off the bat.
All that guy's manufactured.
He said, Nirvana started with a bunch of people making just terrible noise, and it became Nirvana.
And that's kind of how it blends. I mean, a lot of there's bands that they want to play covers.
And
that's what they want to do. Or there's ones that aspire to play originals, but they want to Faith and Exile play covers along with their just do bar sets.
Still do.
We're
going to do it again.
Speaking of covers, and one of our podcast family, I heard that there was a nice cover of Lady Gaga with Andy Heder at one time. With Faith and Exile when he came up.
Trooper.
As Lady Gaga.
Trooper.
He was dressed. It was a Halloween show, and he was dressed as Lady Gaga.
We all know Andy loves his.
There is a picture somewhere because we are.
I believe I have it.
We were in Braveheart. Attire.
So
we did.
I have it.
I need that picture.
He did the most epic intro ever. You remember that when he I can't even explain how, but in true Andy Heder fashion.
Can we try to get that to happen again? I mean, I'll talk to Andy on our end.
He has a show on the 27th.
For the Goodfellas show.
Oh, the Goodfellas. Yeah, he doesn't usually wrestle Friday.
Just come up and do Trooper one time.
I'll learn it. As long as Ron plays it at the actual beats per minute.
250 or above, or it's not happening.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, though, people that the fact that people are actually getting playing music again is awesome. It sucks. For the longest time, there's just been nobody. I mean, Fulton's been keeping their thing alive, and that's been great. But they're the only ones. And now, and your mom's band and Jim, they've been playing forever, and the Fat Cats, and they're amazing. But that's 3 bands. Like I said, no one wants to pay.
Just simply what Rob's doing with Goodfellas, and the people he's brought in, and the people that we've interacted with, and he's interacted with, and. It goes around. It's just it's showing that there is an interest in having a scene again, and is people who want to put the work in edit there.
And this,
So it's awesome. It's
And-
awesome.
and-
We need it.
Well,
For
We
example,
really do.
there's a band at Goodfellas on Friday. I went to see Terry James' band, and there's a band they had it down as best they could.
they're a
and
band too.
they
That
were-
even if their fans leave, they stay to the very end and support every.
yeah,
other
and
band.
a lot of the I noticed
Dave
a
Martin,
lot
you
of-
put that away. That's wow.
Woo, baby.
yeah, a lot of the people that they brought stuck
That
around.
is-
Yeah.
And
That
they
is
brought
12-year-old
a good
Ronald
amount of
right there.
people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that was one band that
we have
impressed me.
we have Apollo 80 booked for Bangin beers as well.
Yeah, and they
And
were
that's
they
the
were
thing that we
great.
want to
I've
do
heard
here.
good things about them.
Yeah, that's the thing that we want to do here on the podcast too. Like, obviously, we want people to come on and tell their stories and help people get through situations. But I really want to showcase, musicians or artists. If you have anything going on in the area, this is your platform to please come on.
No,
and
what
talk
you're
about
We
it.
doing is
appreciate it. It's an
awesome,
awesome
yeah.
idea, man. It's awesome.
So we
like
talk about, Goodfellas, it's not their biggest problem is not the roof.
It's Goodfellas.
It's not the VIP room that was kind of collapsing. It's not the fact that the bathroom is kind of in shambles. It's none of
You
that.
should not be
It's
able to be
literally
there for a long time.
it's literally the reputation.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you can get over that and actually have that place have good reputation, like when we were there Friday night, like the sound was on,
Mhm.
it was great. The lights were great. There was a good crowd there. Everybody seemed to have a good time. I was like, oh my god, this is.
And it wasn't so
We're
much
back,
the
yeah.
reputation. I mean, there was certainly a bad reputation that the public, so to speak, going there got, but it was the reputation, entertainment form there, and how just messed up it was. If it's a bad taste in our mouths, that obviously
Yeah.
portrays to anybody
Mhm.
watching us play.
Yeah.
So it's just a spiral effect from there. It's
Yeah.
definitely getting better.
Yeah, and like
Rob's got it on the way.
the mistakes
He's good.
along the way, like that place had its potential to be like. There's no reason, like I don't know how the markets work and stuff for touring acts and whatnot, but there's no reason that bands that are playing at Reverb in the ghetto in Reading couldn't play at Goodfellas.
Agreed.
It's a better room.
Yep.
Um,
It's a better location.
It's a better location.
As long as he's off the blacklist.
Yeah.
But like I remember like one time when I was down there, like this was like 2006 or something, and Mike came up. He's like, "Andy, there's this band wants to play Goodfellas." I'm like, "Oh God, who's he gonna tell me? Is it gonna be like Brittany Fox or something?" Some
No, Brett
shitty
Michaels.
hair metal band. And he's like, "Hatebreed." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Hatebreed." I'm like, "You go get on the phone right now and you call them and you say yes." Guess what he didn't do?
You didn't call.
He didn't book Hatebreed. Guess what Hatebreed did? They sold out the Chameleon Club, Croc Rock, the Staircase and Piston was open, and the Crowbar in State College because they were doing a 10th anniversary of their Satisfaction That's the Desire album. And they just wanted to play every bigger venue they possibly could.
Yeah.
And it was a missed opportunity. I'm pretty sure they turned out Anthrax too when they first got Joey Dell with Donna back. And it was just, there's a bunch of missed opportunities that it's like when you have, the thing is when you're a club owner, you can't book to your preference.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't put just on
100%.
who.
No,
you
it's
know,
like, if I love hardcore bands, like I'm not gonna just book hardcore bands. Like I want to,
Yeah.
but like there's opportunities they could have probably gotten like Killswitch Engage. They could have gotten Shadows Fall. I remember when Jesse Leach had the band Seamless. I'm like, yo, you should get those guys in here. Bill it like singers. These Killswitch Engage. This place would be packed. They could have got them for like next to nothing.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, next to nothing, and they're like, eh.
So just to we're over a little bit here. We're almost at the 2 hour mark.
it
It goes quick, right?
does. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
So the only thing I want to wrap up with is let's definitely, as people, like obviously last weekend, people killed it. These bands and these musicians work really hard to put on something for you. They're putting their own money in their equipment and everything like that. Come out and support your local music. And when you do come out, a $5 cover isn't a big deal. Pay
It's
it.
not.
Pay it. You won't have one more beer that night. Who cares?
Yeah.
And
you spend that on pretty much one shot.
Yeah.
$5.
And also too, think about this. When you come to a show, I know I do it every time, bring an extra $10-$20 on you and buy a piece of merch. Because if you really enjoy that band and you want them to succeed and you want them to improve or get better stuff to become better, or because a lot of these bands, they work a 40-hour job. They have lives. Like they're trying, like, think of that in consideration. Just because when people come see people like or the podcast, oh, I work a 40-hour job and I do this. Like, that support is important, and support these people and come see their bands and buy their merch and come out and have a good time with us. So we expect everyone tuning in, and we'll share this. And if you tune in, come hang out with us Saturday night, and how you were saying Friday, Apollo 80 at Goodfellas.
Oh wow. What?
Seeing pictures of.
Oh wow.
So we're gonna wrap up here. Thank you guys so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for
Thanks for having us.
I
It's awesome to
appreciate
be
it.
here.
This is a blast. Like
Yeah,
I
this
can't,
is
literally
awesome.
can't believe 2 hours.
Yeah,
has passed.
it
If
goes
you got another
quick.
6-pack, we can go a little longer.
We will definitely have you back, 100%.
Awesome. All right.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome.
And
Thanks for having us.
we'll
Thanks,
wrap
man.
up here.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Bangin' Bears podcast. This is number 10. We're out. I gotta piss so bad.